Mhm. What's happening, everyone? What's going on, Brandon? How are you? Hey, what's happening? Oh, actually, let me just. Hey, what's happening? I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Just waiting for some more people to come in, and then we'll start. Oh, we could start now. So painful life. Hello. Hope you're well. Okay. What is your best explanation for the helicopter carved in the temple of Osiris at Abydos? Are you talking about? Hold on. Let me just make sure I know what you're talking about. Is it still cold up here? It's freezing. Jay Marie, how's it going? Let's see. Rolls Royce from North Carolina, I think. How's it going, brother? Or girl? Sorry. Let me see the Osiris temple. If this is what I'm thinking of, then I helicopter. Oh yeah, okay, it's exactly what I'm thinking of. Honestly, time travel, probably. I mean, because they've been verified to have been predated back to when they were however many thousands of years ago. I don't see the time travel of some kind. I don't know how else you could explain that. I mean, you got literal scriptures and carved out drawings that look like a nuclear bomb, like a submarine, like a helicopter. I highly doubt that if there was a former advanced race of human civilizations that started over, um, we would have built things precisely in that same shape and geometric diameter, to be honest with you. Yeah, it does look like a Black Hawk, exactly. The Vimana, yeah, exactly. Oh, the iconic beanie, another beanie. That's what's underneath. um, hair. My hair is pretty long, actually. Much love from Australia. Oh, thank you, Kevin. Do you believe in past lives? In yeah. In certain regards, yeah. I think that the definition of that is iffy, but in terms of the way, yeah. But I do, yeah. Um, couldn't they have been projecting their minds into the future? Right, which is arguably a form, I guess we could say, of psychological or spiritual time travel. Any proof of interdimensional aliens? Proof or evidence? Because I have evidence. I can't say proof because I don't want to just come out here and say that I have something that I don't, right? Hey, Dojo, of course. I remember you. New episode idea: the Egyptian artifacts and huge cave with a Buddha carved in the stone found in the Charles, if you could do me a favor and email me that, that would be fantastic. Also, for any of you that have sent me emails and all that stuff, or messages with photographs, videos. Seriously, guys, it only adds to my research. So I thank you so much. If any of you are hesitant to come forward with anything, trust me, there's no such thing as a dumb question, a dumb piece of evidence, nothing like that. What's the most messed up thing you've ever seen or heard? Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Michael, because it was actually some things I've seen yesterday that I knew existed that I can't talk about here on the live show that will definitely get me banned. Like not even just the live stream, the whole channel. Messed up stuff, like really depraved stuff, disgusting. But again, I'm trying to find a way to cover it in the members only episodes because if we don't cover it, how else are we going to see what the world is really like, you know? Magic of Solomon, the Book of Gocha, yeah. Could aliens be time travelers from Earth's future? Absolutely, absolutely. It's possible some of them even are in many regards. Again, we have to define what we mean by time travel, right? That's the other thing as well. When we take a look at time travel, is it, spiritual, physical in this dimension? I mean, people generally think, okay, you walk through a portal, right? But it's possible that our bodies could produce that as well. We must reincarnate then if they are after our soul or spirit. Yeah, well, again, I spoke about this, I think, in yesterday night's episode, where there's a very big proposal out there that there's sort of this spiritual kind of trap, I guess you could say, that we're put into in many regards, that kind of keep our souls within the third dimension and prevents some of us from ascending. Excuse me. But yeah, absolutely. It's very possible. But Charles, if you could do me a favor, send me an email, brother, about that. I'd like to talk to you about that if that's cool. Let's see here. Anyone else got any more questions? Oh. When ETs use our DNA to help their species, do you believe they get use of some of our soul? In certain regards, yes. Yeah. In certain aspects. If that's their goal, I think so. Not all the time, but I think so, yeah. Let's see here. Just waiting for some more people to join. I know I came on a bit early. Will you give a link to paywall? Are you talking about Patreon? Because I can pin the link right now. I normally don't like to do it because I don't want to seem like I'm asking for money. But if you ask ahead of time, then no problem. If that's what you're referring to. Yeah, sure. I'll pin it right to the top. There we go. Thank you, by the way, for inquiring. What else? Was Oumuamua a cover-up? The Oumuamua to me, guys, is like the Black Knight satellite. It's iffy. If it's not extraterrestrial, it's something anomalistic. It's not just some kind of rock in space floating, Why is everyone trying to blur the lines between men and women? Are you talking about the transgender debate, like politically? Recon ship. What? Sorry, Wind. What do you mean by that? And also, Tyrone, do you believe in the jinns? What do you mean by the jinns? Sorry. Oh, okay. And John Doe asks, why is everyone trying to blur the lines between men and women? Well, I have to say, John, respectfully, that's a very general question. We can delve into a lot of different things there, but that's a little more political. Michael goes, what are your thoughts on cancel culture? Okay, so then I'll get to Belly's question. My thoughts on cancel culture is I think the people, for example, overall, I think it's gotten too out of hand personally. But again, in terms of politics and stuff, I'm always willing to have my mind changed, or if I'm presented with a different perspective or with something I didn't know about. But what do I think of cancel culture in general? I think the people that actually, for example, the people that are part of the whole, actually, hold on, let me think. I think some people say things that are way too overboard, but I think a lot of people tend to overreact to some small things as well. I think it's overall, I don't think it's a good thing, but I can understand why it's being done in some cases. But again, I'm always willing to have my mind changed as well, right? I don't really follow the cancel culture stuff that much, to be honest with you guys. It's not because I don't really believe in it. It's just because I'm so busy now that I don't know. The only last thing, the most recent thing I heard was Gina Carano, right? Let me see here. How much of this phenomenon do you think is legit? That's what Belly Cam Kitchen asks. I think a fair amount. I think a lot of it is humans maneuvering a lot of the ships too, to slowly prepare those of us that are willing to accept it. So the more and more sightings there are, in terms of being able to do certain things publicly with the military testing and all that, they don't really have to explain as much. I think the Pentagon coming forward, and also this COVID, this UFO thing in the COVID relief bill, I think is also very significant, to tell you the truth. But I don't think it's going to be anything substantial that's going to be disclosed. I think it's just a slow preparation. So to tell you the answer, Belly, if I were to put a percentage on how legit I think the UFO phenomenon is, I guess if you mean how much in terms of sightings, I think 70% of the sightings are probably 60 to 70% are military, 30 to 40% are extraterrestrial. I think they know more about Earth than most of us on a public level do. Let's see here. Hopefully that answers your question. Let me see. I once saw a reptilian. It was when I was part of the Mormon church when I was younger. Before I left it, he was the bishop of the church. I saw his eyes change while I was... Okay, Brandon, thank you for bringing that up, and I'll tell you why. According to the CIA, according to themselves, which again, we have to be careful to trust that, but allegedly one of the places they recruit from, more often than not, are Mormon churches. And the reason for that is because a lot of the values instilled within the Mormon culture are that in which translate over very well to CIA principles, if we believe they have principles. Well, anyways, but I certainly understand that. And I've also heard that a lot of extraterrestrials that tend to look like us or can shapeshift like us, they tend to hang around places of spirituality and religion, regardless of what religion or whatever, right? So I do 100%, I believe you on that. Oumuamua was a recon ship drone. Possibly, but I think, that's a good question. I got to think about that one, Wind, honestly. Charles, thoughts about 5G and possible effects on humans? Okay, actually, I was going to bring this up, but Charles, thank you for bringing this up. So for the people that haven't joined yet, that might be joining, I guess, unfortunately, they'll miss this, but I got a notification when I was eating lunch today from CNN, because even though I don't trust them, we got to always, we got to see what the mainstream media is putting out there. We got to look at all the angles, right? So I get this notification, and it's an article about 5G. I go, you know what? I'm going to click on it just to see. I click on it, and it talks about how all these companies, these carrier companies, were hiding 4G satellites and disguising them as trees or cell towers. And then it says, yeah, they were hiding them. And now with 5G, though, there's something in the hardware is going to make it more difficult to hide. Why do you got to hide it for? I mean, look, maybe I'm missing something. If I am, please tell me. I just don't know why they even hid the 4G satellites, to tell you the truth. Pawan says, hey, Dave, do you think Nordics and Reptilians' ultimate agenda is to harvest humans one day as food? No, because they would have done it by now, in my opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong. I think the Reptilians' goal is I think a lot of them are trapped here on Earth, and the reason why they can't get out is because they're being forced to stay here. And so their kind of, general, maybe short to long-term goal is to infiltrate the human structure of leadership, which is politics, right? Which is, ironically enough, the United States. The Nordics, no. I think the Nordics are fairly advanced, and I really think they would have done something by now. I mean, we can argue they are because of all the people that go missing every year, but that could be for a lot of different things too. Let's see here. Good commenter asks, which aliens are ultra-terrestrial? Are reptilians ultra-terrestrial, or do they have a planet on this dimension? Do you mean, when you say ultra-terrestrial, good commenter, if you could be a little bit more specific, please. I would say some reptilian races have been here longer than we think. I would dare to argue that some places underground they would consider to be their home. Do they have a planet on this dimension? I don't think so. No, I haven't seen anything that would indicate that, but again, I could be wrong. Belly cam. Sorry, I just got to scroll up here, guys. I personally think it's 95% government and 5% UFO otherworldly. Look, again, that's what I'm saying. It's not like it was 50, 70, 100 years ago. I think that there's been a very solidified understanding that these extraterrestrials, when they come, they don't come the way they used to, in the sense of hovering around to search for stuff, because a lot of them have made agreements with humans. So it's kind of like, okay, when we go to Earth, we're going to go to this base and the humans will help us with this and that. And I understand why you say 95. I wouldn't personally, Belly, honestly, my friend, I wouldn't put it 95% humans. I'd put it a little lower than that, but I see what you're saying, though. Do you believe the conspiracy theory about Osama bin Laden is actually Obama? I haven't looked into that. There is a conspiracy theory that, oh, sorry, no, that's never mind. But no, I have not looked into that. There's a conspiracy theory that Justin Trudeau is actually Fidel Castro's illegitimate son. But that's got nothing to do with Obama, so my bad. Jinns are the demons or malevolent forces of the Quran. Okay, I've only read certain parts of the Quran, Ronald, so I don't want to comment on something that I haven't read about. UFO in the Cole Carrington says UFO in the COVID bill. Yeah. So what they did in not this COVID bill, the one many months ago, was they slipped that bill that was 4 to 5,000 pages long that no congressman could read. Even their staff couldn't read, that they had only like 3 hours to vote on. They quietly slipped in that bill that the Pentagon has 180 days from the day that bill is approved to provide Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, the Republican, to provide Marco Rubio and his UFO task force with as much information as with all the information they have. Are they going to give everything? Not even close. Not even close. I'm very iffy on that. I want to see what the result is. Let me see here. 69%. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. The 180-day disclosure. Do you think they're going to come clean with the aliens or ETs? That's what Merrick asks. I hope so, but I'd be more than happy to come on the show and tell you guys I was wrong, because it would make my day, because then we can truly talk about even more openly and things like this, right? But again, I think the more disclosure we get, the more secrecy we're going to get. Just like with anything, the more answers, the more answers lead to more questions. I think this 180-day disclosure will be something. My gut's telling me it'll be something like the Pentagon reveal. There might be an announcement, there might be some new information, but nothing that you and I haven't already covered, you know? Jeff says, have you done a video on the Tunguska event? No, I haven't, Jeff. Actually, I haven't, but I'm trying to. I got so much research, so much going on. It takes a bit. Sam says, hey, Dave, do you think we can trust any information on UFOs from the government? Yes and no, because some of it works in their favor to tell the truth. Very little, not a lot. The rest is all disinformation, which is why we got to look for the consistency instead of we're trying to find that one big document that'll tell us everything, because it's not going to happen. At least I don't think so. Let me see here. Shapeshifters have trouble staying informed when irritated. Yes, I've read that a bunch of times. The Observer, absolutely. Let's see here. What do you say to a person that's been hit with the beam of light from one of these craft and read your mind? I would honestly want to know exactly what they experienced. It's the experiences that people have come forward about with those blue beams are extremely consistent. And I do have to say, in tomorrow's episode, members only episode, we're going to be analyzing a UFO that seems to be malfunctioning, that emits a blue beam. Now, I honestly would say it's humans maneuvering it. It's more the technology we're going to look at there. Let's see here. Tyrone says is used for both a collective designation for any supernatural creature and also to refer to a specific type of supernatural creature. Therefore, jinn are often mentioned together with devils, demon. Okay, so I appreciate that, Tyrone. What I see there when I look at that is I see, and I don't know the way who wrote the Quran, if it was a group of people. I'm not trying to disrespect the religion because I don't know enough about it. But what I can say about that is that if we take a look, what we're going to find is a lot of religions that have been written and revised over and over have referred to certain things as demonic just because the humans at the time didn't understand it. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here because I don't know enough to comment on that, but the best I can answer is probably that overall. So let me see here. Are you familiar with the Reptilian hybrid housewife? She's a YouTuber and she hasn't been active in a while, but she has secondary eyelids. You should check her out. You know what? I'm going to look into that. There's some people that have claimed to have been crossbreed experimentations, and there's some things physically with the structure doctors can't explain, and I understand that. So I'm going to look into that. Thank you. I'll write that down, actually. You think Kenneth Copeland is a reptilian? Ooh, I'm not sure about that. I think there's a handful of, I guess we could say, celebrities that are, but not because they became a celebrity and then they got, some type of operation done. I think truly that's in their genes. Oh, Chris, thank you for joining. Sorry, hold on a second. I got to scroll back up. Someone asked, okay, Deontay Porterfield, do you think John Podesta is a Rothschild? I got some information thanks to my friend Genius on John Podesta. The guy, he's an interesting guy, let's say. All these people are interested in some very weird stuff. Do I think he's a Rothschild? Nah, I wouldn't say so unless there's something I'm missing. What's your opinion on the Hollow Earth conspiracy or honeycomb Earth? 1 trillion% in my eyes. Yeah. I don't usually like to say that, but I've seen more than enough that would lead me personally, unless there's something that I'll admit I was wrong, someone can conclude or provide evidence of it's impossible. We're not going to know unless we go down there ourselves or something like this, right? Let's see here. Do you know much about Solar Cycle 25? Well, Lipchin, good evening to you too. I don't know that much about Solar Cycle. Actually, no, wait, I do. I'm doing an episode on that in about maybe a week, 2 weeks tops. If there's any specifics, then feel free to ask. But yeah. Oh, ultra terrestrial are beings from other dimensions. I think they come here all the time. Yeah. Let's see here. Why do we almost never hear about events that take place in China, and are there any significant events? Well, Jeff, thank you for asking that. First off, we take a look at first what was considered a conspiracy until the New York Times said it, and I brought this up before too, until they reported it, where they're slaughtering tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe even in the millions of Muslim Uyghurs and other, Christians and things like this. But it's not even about what religion they belong to. It's just overall they're organ harvesting. And then again, that was laughed at and it was a conspiracy until the New York Times reported on it. Now everyone shut up, right? But I think a lot of US operations are done in China because of the fact that China doesn't talk about what they do very often. They're kind of like Russia in the sense like, yeah, we're doing it. What are you going to do about it? You going to attack us? No, you're not. It's going to rupture too much of the world economy. And so the US looks at that and they say, okay, on the front end, we're going to act tough with you, if we even consider that to be the case. But then deep down, if you look at my episode Project Lace, low-level augmented crossbreeding experimentation, what you'll find there is that a lot of it indicates that the US is doing this within deep underground military bases in China, just because it makes a lot of sense to do that, right? I mean, you don't have to worry about anything leaking out on your homeland and things like this. But I think they still don't trust each other to a certain point. The Reptilians have taken over the government like on many other planets, created a crisis and a solution, and infiltrated the government. Reptilians are interdimensional beings. There's tons of evidence to suggest this. Absolutely. Let me see. Obama bin who? Yeah. FFS. Not sure what that means. Let's see here. Is there any way that aliens could abduct while humans are asleep? There's people in my town that have these similar stories of a dream they had, and most of them go vividly into detail. Could abduct. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's been different scenarios. Aliens physically carrying humans out, a blue beam sort of lifting them up. Aliens using telepathic abilities to lift people up out of their beds and things like that. 100%. Yeah. People are saying in 5G, their area, the trees, one side of them are not growing right, in fact, dying. And the same time or side grows, it looks okay. So you're basically saying a lot of natural stuff from the 5G becomes very, I guess we could say, off-putting in the natural growth is what you're saying. Oh, did I miss a comment about COVID? My bad. Yeah, I think 5G is similar to the COVID vaccine in the sense that in theory, it's going to work good, but they'll put something in there to exploit us. I mean, people will say, well, okay, your phone could track you. Why would they want to track? Look, they will never stop finding ways to track us. That's it. And I'm not saying the COVID vaccine has that. I'm saying we have to be vigilant of those types of things, right? Let's see here. The Funkwits, big ups to you too, my friend. Hugo Plaza, what's going on? ET says, what are your thoughts on the Assisted Human Reproduction Act? It's a cover for something. Honestly, it is. Just like we can argue that, back in the days of the Bush administration in the US with George Bush, he shut down the whole cloning program on a public level because it was, against God, which is fine. But that's a great argument for the front end. But it's a fantastic ability to move that type of experimentation into the underground bases or top secret facilities. Reptilian breeds, saurians, hybrid human reps. Oh yeah, okay. Zed heads. Oh hey, I like that, by the way, the whole Zed heads thing. Hey Mike, what's going on? Walter White, it's all black project. Absolutely, black projects, even dark projects too. Do you think what we see in our random dreams is caused by some invisible entity so that they may consume some energies out of us while we're asleep? Okay. The reason why I think that's the case, and the reason why I think a lot of, public studies when it comes to dreaming and things like that are very inaccurate, as they say, is not because they can't figure it out. In the secretive levels, I think they've truly figured it out, to tell you guys the truth. I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing confusion being fed to the public on purpose when it comes to the dream stuff. And the reason for that is because as long as they keep us in the dark about astral projection, lucid dreaming, things like this, and leaving it up to us to experience it for ourselves, because we've been spiritually suppressed for so long, and I could be very wrong here, but because of that, it's very possible that as long as we leave it up to ourselves to figure out, we're going to stay in the dark. Which is why when you ask, do some aliens or interdimensional entities cause dreams? Yes, but the problem is figuring out what's legit and what is part of our subconscious. Do the elites really have large bases underground? Oh yeah, you can look that up publicly. A lot of them admit it that they do, which only makes you think what they're hiding, right? If aliens are so advanced, why do we find so many crashes? There's not a lot of crashes. Here's the thing, and I understand where you're coming from, Dojo. I really do. And the thing about crashes is this: who's to say those ones are aliens? They could be humans maneuvering them, right? At the same time, when we look at all of that too, what we see as well is that it's very possible you have the odd malfunction. No matter how advanced something gets, nothing is perfect. That's just the universe, right? But at the same time, I understand that's a bit of a vague answer. So most of the time, I would dare to say these crashes are human, honestly. I think a lot of these crashes too, if they're alien, have to do with the gray aliens, the ones that are not actually conscious. They're just vessels or some type of robot or something like this, sort of like our version of the Mars rover, right? And so allegedly, the way it works is these grays have an interconnected telepathic energetic connection with the ship, which is why if you look at our members only episodes, when you see the handprints that have been removed from some of these UFO craft, which it was only for 3 fingers and a thumb, by the way, I think, you'll see there's no need for buttons or controls if you can telepathically control the ship, right? So again, it's kind of like our version of the Mars rover, for example, let's just say malfunctioning, right? There's always going to be that. But I would dare to say most of these crashes nowadays are humans. Humans not, I mean, kind of knowing what they're doing, but not fully grasping it yet. Well, I was being with that light, or we can talk anytime. Okay, cool. What's going on, Arrows? Hope you're good. Oops, let me see here. I just saw a question about Arcturians. Hold on. Sorry, guys. The chat just, so I've seen Joe Biden's eyes turn black a few times. Have you? Once or twice, but I'll tell you why that doesn't really surprise me. There's a lot of people within government whose eyes go full black. And it's interesting you bring that up. I just spoke with someone before the show. Fantastic guy, military veteran. And if you're watching this, brother, thank you for serving. Again, thank you for your service. He told me the same thing, same experience my father had as well, too. The eyes, even the white part of the eyeball, all goes black. I don't really pay attention to Biden that much, to tell you the truth. Okay, sorry, let's get back here. What do you think about Arcturians? Are they truly benevolent? The thing with the Arcturians is this: unless there's some major deceitful agenda they've played on us for such a very long time, I don't think they're I think they're generally good-hearted overall, like the Pleiadians, if you will. But again, I'm going off of the research and the data. I mean, when we see Arcturians, Pleiadians being, interdimensional beings and things like this, connected with the Nordics and possibly the Venusians, I think, honestly, there's good and bad, just like everything else in life, right? Just like, humans, just like animals, what have you. You're always going to have different factions within the species that are very good. Some are not good, but not bad, self-serving. Other ones are like, they just want to cause destruction because they're just so low vibrationally, right? Let's see here. I saw that lady on Russian TV. Okay. I gotta tell you, the Russian RT thing, the state-run media, yes, I am aware it is state-run, but I do have to say they mention a lot of things that the North American Western mainstream media doesn't bring up, because when I look at fact check it afterwards, I find that to be the case usually. When the bishop's eyes changed, he was trying to get my little brother to go on a camping trip that he didn't want to go on. And I told him he wasn't going and closed the door. Though that could be spiritual. I mean, it's a good thing you did that, Brandon. And the reason why I say that is because, generally speaking, if you're a very depraved, even just human being, it's possible that if you are more in tune with your intuition or what have you, then you can actually see the negativity in people's eyes, and it manifests itself physically as a warning to you. So I that's a very good choice there. Arrow says Podesta is a monster. Look, there comes a point, guys, where I gotta say, and this is why I don't bring up specifics all the time. There comes a point in government, and I'm not trying to defend any of these people. This is a terrible thing, but it's the reality, where you have to be ruthless. If you do not be ruthless against the other players in the chess game, if you want to call it, you're going to get kicked off the board easily. So it's either you play along or you don't even get involved. And I'm not trying to defend Podesta or any of those guys, or any of those women as well. I'm just saying overall in general, when we look at that, there comes a level, there comes a point where you have to, even if you're a very good person, you have to put on a ruthless type of face. Now the question then becomes, do you become ruthless when you go home at night? That's the sort of the disconnect, right? Let's see here. Max Spears MK Ultra Super Soldier is a brilliant one to look into. Yes, I'm looking into him now, actually. He and his brothers are sick monsters. Sorry, Belly, not sure what you're referring to there. What's up with all the earthquakes in Iceland? That's a good question. That's interesting. Some say it's the result of a lot of underground experimentation. And again, places like Iceland, Greenland, you name it, these are the best places to do it, right? Remote locations, remote countries that don't really have enough of a connection to the mainstream media for the mainstream media to always be reporting on it. They report on it a few times, it's enough, and then everything gets covered up, and then everyone goes back to normal. That's usually, I mean, look, it could be natural. Not everything has to be conspiratorial, but the earthquakes in Iceland are interesting because you look at the seismographs and independent researchers, and I want to give you guys a little bit of advice if you don't already know. You probably already know this, but when you look for studies, I suggest to look for consistency from multiple independent researchers, because anytime there's a study done at a lab, a university, doesn't have to be American, doesn't have, not even in the West, anywhere in the world, Europe, you name it, Australia, you have to look and see who's funding this university. Where's the money coming from, right? And if the money is considered dark money, which is money that is quietly donated and through someone else, and then a dummy company, you'll never find out who really did it, and then they come out with a study that suggests something, I got to question all of it. I'm sure some of those studies are legit, but I don't, you know. Let's see here. Have you heard about the rumors of Atlantis rising in the Bermuda Triangle, Sam? Yes, I have, actually, which is very interesting. The Bermuda Triangle is very peculiar to me. I don't want to sit here and tell you guys I know what's going on with the Bermuda Triangle. I don't. But here's the thing. We know for a fact there's a lot of anomalistic frequencies. We know UFOs have been known to come in and out of teleported areas there based on certain leaked footage and things like this. And we'll be showing some of that on our Patreon stuff when we analyze our footage. But when we look at all of that, we have no option but to, or no other choice but to think, was there some type of island here at some point that was so, I guess we could say, frequentially ascended, or in theory, what we would now call technologically advanced in today's day and age, that that may have caused some type of ripple, some type of residue, right? Sort of like when you spill coffee on your couch. You can get rid of most of it, but you're still going to see a stain. You know, it's the same idea. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on cynocephaly? Dog-headed people, Nephilim, kind of like Anubis. Okay. Thank you for asking that, Eros. Here's the thing with that. I think when we go back far enough, we've had a mixture of everything, human, animal, whether it's three-dimensional, interdimensional, you name it. Because again, we look at the Bible, we look at the Quran, certain parts of the Quran that I've read myself, we see some very interesting things here. We look at different scriptures from and hieroglyphs from around the world. All of these people were not crazy. You know what I mean? Like, these people did not dream at night and see pig-headed lions or pig-headed dragons or whatever, pig-headed demons, and then wake up and say, okay, we got to write this down in the history books. We got to tell people about, or you know what I mean? I don't think it exactly works like that. Now, yes, do some people, did they not have a way of explaining certain things? Sure. The example I give is like in the book of Enoch. There's three of them, but in one of them, I forgot which one, Enoch says he's traveling amongst the stars, and he describes something very similar to a UFO. Sorry, he says he was traveling amongst the heavens. What do you think the heavens were? Space. You know what I mean? So I think I'm not trying to say something like heaven isn't real. I'm just saying it seems like this is the case more and more often. So honestly, if you had asked me about 6 months ago, I would have said, I'm not so sure about that. But the more I look back at these reoccurring consistencies, the more I think this can't really be. Because think about it, guys. If we can secretly combine. We can turn a human with mRNA with the right genetic sequence. Elon Musk even said this. We can turn a human into a full-size butterfly, assuming there's no mistakes. Theoretically, we could do it. So if there were beings that had this ability, whether it was through mRNA or something else at the time, I don't rule it out. I mean, it's one thing if one guy writes a story in one religious book, right? It's another thing if it's consistent all over. So let's see here. What is the black cube of Saturn? Well, Jay Schluss, I think that's your username. I want to get back to you. I would like to get back to you. I'm reading up on that as we speak. I don't want to comment on and interpret things while I'm still reading. It's kind of like reading a book halfway through and predicting the ending. So I don't want to. Oh, thank you, Mike. I mentioned Billy Carson again, but he mentions how the Anunnaki relates to the Rothschilds, I think. Well, here's the thing. The Anunnaki, and Terry, I totally see where you're coming from. Allegedly, the Anunnaki is part of some big disinformation program that's been going on throughout the ages. Not that they didn't exist, but their intentions. Now, here's the thing. We can only presume, based off of the evidence that we have currently, what the Anunnaki's intentions were. Now, the traditional story, or the most popular one, is that the Anunnakis had something to do with, harvesting gold and things like this. Whether the Rothschilds are related to them, we'd have to go far down the bloodline, my friend. I have yet to see anything that suggests that, but I wouldn't rule that out. It's not a coincidence. A lot of these families coincidentally marry within the same circles of friends, and their bloodlines carry on and on and on. Hopefully that answers your question. What's your opinion on whether or not the Egyptians built them or the pyramids, or was it a previous civilization? The Sphinx's head is disproportionate to its body. Okay, the pyramids. This is an interesting one. I think the pyramids were a multi-purpose form of some type of energy harvesting to open portals, to heal people, to do many different things. Now, again, I think I mentioned this last week, but if we look from a bird's eye point of view at the Mexican pyramids, it matches that of a computer CPU today. Now, I don't know if that's a coincidence. We could talk about, certain houses or certain sheds, we could call them, were close to the pyramids that look very similar to a CPU circuit. There's too many coincidences for me to just say, that's a fluke, Do I think the Egyptians built them? I think they were helped. What type of extraterrestrial species, I am not sure. But I think it was a combination of aliens and Egyptians, yes. I really do. On top of that, if you guys notice, there's a lot of invisible, well, again, we wouldn't notice if it was invisible. Sometimes they come to show themselves above the UFOs, above the pyramids, even to this day. The housewife, she is sorry, Merrick, I'm not sure specifically what you're speaking about. Sorry and sad, but a high-level being. Okay, sorry, Merrick, I don't fully understand. My apologies. Danny says, hey, what's going on, Danny? He says, I think 5G is the transmitter and the vaccine is the receiver, but I don't know. I got to be careful about combining the two just publicly, just because YouTube's really cracking down. Even the top of the top, the one, like the big YouTube accounts that have direct phone contact with YouTube and people at YouTube are being told to stay quiet about stuff. So again, we can do this in members only, which I already started to slowly cover. But I think 5G is interesting, just like a lot of other things that we've slowly come to accept, kind of like when they said back in the day, if you sat too close to your TV, your brain would get mushy and all that. And then, if you slept next to your phone, radiation. Look, I think overall, I think 5G is going to be great for internet service and stuff, but don't rule out the fact that there might be something in those radio waves. And I'm not even trying to fearmonger. Guys, let's be realistic, right? Let me see here. Sorry. I just want some honesty with what's actually going on in America. Thank you, Hayden, for asking that. Hayden, if you could specifically um, type what you think, like what you want to know about. I do follow American politics and many different things very extensively. I'm not an American. I've been to America tons of times, lived there for extended periods of time. But if you could just be a bit more specific, please. Cole, as do I, Cole. It's sometimes it's scary to tell you the truth, but let's see here. Sorry, guys, the YouTube thing just cut me down. I got to get back. 1 second. Sorry. Oh man, there's a lot of. Okay, here we go. Arb says they will make a Kyra. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean, Arb. My apologies. Oh, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that, brother. What's your take on Atlanteans? I think Atlanteans were a human civilization that ultimately had access to a lot of spiritual and frequential and possibly extraterrestrial technology in a lot of different ways. I think ultimately Atlanteans are spoken of far too often within the history books. I believe Plato referenced it first, and there's a big debate as to whether or not Plato made this place up as his sort of theory of what a perfect world should look like. But I think Atlantis was very, very. Look, in my opinion, I think it was real. I mean, I if there's proof that I'm incorrect, if it again, we have to define what Atlantis is, right? Because a lot of people think it's got to look like this, it's got to look like that. It could have been real, but it could have been, pushed through misinformation in many different ways, right? And so when I look at that, I have no choice but to say maybe at the time they themselves didn't call themselves Atlanteans. It could be a name that we over time have given that, and Plato started that. But again, let's see here. But overall, I think the Atlanteans, possible mixture of some extraterrestrial interbreeding, very possible. I think they were definitely more accepting of spirituality than humans are now, which is why I think aliens were more able to approach them at the time. With Chad says, with all that's been done to suppress our third eye, do you know any way to lessen the damage or reverse it? There's quite a few ways, Chad, I'll tell you. Meditation is one of them. It's probably the most basic one. Honestly, being aware of your surroundings in many different ways. I understand that maybe what they put in the food that we eat and stuff may be suppressing as well. But ultimately, unless we're able to grow our own crops, which I know some of you do, I've talked to some of you who have, then we can't really do anything about that. I mean, you have the fluoride and things like this, but overall, I think it's more so just opening your mind to it, believing in it in a matter of ways. And I know that sounds very imaginative, but I say believing in it in the sense of not just saying, not saying, okay, I believe this, I believe that, but opening your mind to saying, okay, I will consider this. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Alada, yes, absolutely. Moon eyes. I've only just found out about this being. Have you ever heard about that? I have, but not specifics though. Let me see. Pawan says, as per the website countdown to disclosure, they have mentioned Nordic's agendas, which includes human harvesting. A movie was made on that subject too. You might want to check this. Yes, thank you, Pawan. Now, here's the thing about that as well. Again, we have different factions of these beings, right? Just like with humans, you have different agendas. Good or bad it's not exactly as black and white as we would like to think. You think there's any good hybrid playing as the government to actually help humanity? Yeah, but I think it's more, again, a lot of the problem I have with a lot of the conspiracy world is they try to frame it as, look, they're hybrid, they're unethically or immorally breeding different, aliens and animals and humans and things like this. My argument is this: who's to say that it's bad? Right now, when you do experimentation that could go in any direction, you got to be ready that you can really, pardon my English, fuck up. You know what I mean? And so, do I think there's any good? Like, just like with politics, sadly, it depends on the direction it goes. Phil Mitt says, have you seen any UFOs around your neighborhood? Yeah, there's one that comes out outside of my apartment here every couple nights. Seriously. And every time it comes, not every time, but whenever I do, when it's not, super cold, I go out, I film it, I mess with it with the laser, as some of you have seen. And I can say confidently with my own eyes, I've seen the laser when I shot at the ship bend around the ship. So clearly it's bending light, it's bending something, bending our, the laws of physics, if you will, within a certain atmosphere. Which is why a lot of whistleblowers who have reverse engineered a lot of UFO craft have said that when they're reverse engineering craft, what they found is that there's two different, not switches in the way we think of it, but there's two different ways that these ships work. One way in which it operates in the way that it bends and creates a field around it, an energy field, when it's in space, and another way when it's in a planet's atmosphere, not just Earth. Let me see here. Have you seen, the Black Knight satellite is a good one to know more of? Sorry, Merrick, what do you mean? Like in terms of, are there more of them? Apparently, Oumuamua, sorry if I said that wrong, jeez. Oumuamua is apparently one, but let me see. Brandon says, do you think these negative entities operate on some kind of permission basis? They always go out of their way to get you to agree, and when they fail to persuade you, they give up. Towards humans, I think, look, again, it depends on the intention. It depends what they want to do. Negative entities, in terms of if we're talking about, certain grays that have their own very self-serving agenda, or the tall grays or something like this, do I think they have some? I think they approach things initially with a great amount of deception. We'll give you your tech that you want. It will give you some technology in exchange for humans, things like this. And again, going back to the Greada Treaty, it didn't really work out the way President Eisenhower wanted to, but what choice did he have? You know what I mean? The only thing is other alien races stepping in to say to these other negative entities, listen, you're not going to do this to them. That's the only thing. Allegedly, believe it or not, the Cuban Missile Crisis with John F. Kennedy, that was seconds away from a nuclear bomb going off. Some of you watching may have been around and remember this, or have, your parents have. Apparently, extraterrestrials, specifically the Nordics, prevented this. Now, the Nordics, you might say, apparently they worked with Hitler and things like that. Again, here's the interesting thing. They work with whoever the current power is within a certain time period, right? So I guess they see it as, look, we'll let them do their thing. And as usual, they will kind of, let us do our thing. We'll help one another and things like that. But there's a limit, right? And I think there's the odd Nordic that will really, really like humans and help out and really get close with the US government, but not many. And with other governments too, by the way. What do you think about Stargates? Which aliens have put them on Earth? Oh, I think tons. I think there's tons of Stargates all over the place. Again, we mention this all the time, but allegedly there was one in Iraq, which is why, of course, they went there for the oil too, but which is why a lot of other countries, which they usually don't do, called up the US and said, you know what, we believe in fighting terrorism, we'll help you. But as we now know, Iraq had nothing to do with it, but I don't want to go over that. But I think there's a ton of Stargates all over the place, some ancient, some modern. I think it's being built and they're still being built, but they abide by a certain type of regulatory rules, if that makes sense. The spacecraft can change the color of the day. They can shake the earth, and they're very powerful with reading what people think. If it's a big enough one, if they really want to use their technology, I think they have the ability to affect planets and the overall structure and exoskeleton of a planet. Absolutely. Do you follow Linda Moulton Howe on Earth Files? Absolutely. Have you watched the film Above Majestic? Yes, I have, but my memory's iffy on that. Should the people storm Area 51? Well, about a year ago or 2 years ago, there was a big petition on Facebook with almost 1 million signatures where they wanted to storm Area 51. And the very mysterious representatives of Area 51 communicated through the state government of Las Vegas that if anyone tries to storm Area 51, they will be met with intense, I think it was defense and fire or something like that. But again, Area 51, I'm sure a lot of things still go on there. It's kind of like an open joke, and that's what they rely on, right? Oh, thank you, Wind. I appreciate that. Okay, can you tell us why the government hides UFO tech that can make us travel the galaxies? I appreciate this question, and I answer this all the time, but I have no problem answering it again because it helps a lot of people grasp the understanding. So I will answer that. There's a bunch of reasons why they won't release the tech. And I'll give you some of the reasons. I'm not going to lie to you, I agree with. So first off, let me get to the part of why they won't release the tech. First off, the CIA has enough of as bad as they are. The only reason why I'm still in a very small percentage, and I say this small, in support of them, is because they need people, mass amounts of people to control. If there's no people, who are they going to control, right? Which is why they're constantly focused on trying to remove nuclear weapons from the black market. Now, imagine they release this type of anti-gravity technology and a terrorist group or a militia group or a rebellion group somewhere in the world gets a hold of it. Good luck trying to get it back. It's not like a nuclear missile where you can just get a hold of the missile, hijack it from them, take it back, kill them, and then they're done. No, the problem here is if you release this tech, some of the most basic form of this tech is 0-point energy and anti-gravity tech. Now, do you know what happens if you can curate and have some type of anti-gravity mechanism? Everything from invisibility cloaks, force fields that are unbreakable become legit. Everything you've seen in Star Trek becomes legit. And so what happens if a terrorist group gets a hold of this anti-gravity tech? All they're going to do is put a force field around their base. That's it. You can drop a nuke on it. It's not going to get through. You know what I mean? And let's bring it down to a smaller level. A guy that wants to rob a bank, all he's got to do is get a hold of some of this anti-gravity tech, put a force field around him. And I know this sounds silly, but walk into a bank with no mask on, rob the bank. And as long as this force field, which never runs out of energy, by the way, keeps staying around him, what are you going to do about it? So that's one side of it. The other side of it is all about control. And the reason why I say that is because think about it like this. Pretend there's no terrorist groups and everything's peaceful, and they release the technology. You know what happens then? The government cannot keep us in control because now you have access to technology that can allow us to travel in light speed or even amongst the stars in a matter of minutes, maybe even seconds. Right? So think about it like this. Think about you have a UFO or a ship that's been released by the government sitting on your driveway. You head up and you take off and say, I don't know, you want to go to, let's just say Venus or Mars or what, even outside the galaxy. You'll be back in a couple hours, right? I know this sounds silly, but bear with me. You come back home, and then you take a look and you're checking your bills, on a piece of paper, and it says, your electricity bill, your water bill, your taxes, and you go, wait a minute. I was just in a galaxy or on another planet, and I come back and I got to pay for something that technically we as humans have precognitively given value to. Because think about what money is. It's just a piece of paper that we've given value to if you really think, philosophically deep enough about it, right? That's why we're going to start to question things. Why do we need the government? If we have anti-gravity, 0-point energy technology, we can rely on ourselves for everything. For power, electricity, water. We don't need it. So I know that's a bit of a long answer, but Tunnels, thank you for asking that, because think about it. Imagine coming back from Mars, for example, within seconds, kind of like for those of you that watch Rick and Morty. Okay, and then you go into your kitchen or wherever you keep your bills, your office, whatever. Holy shit, I got to pay, $1,000 this month in bills between everything and my mortgage and all that. You're going to say, F this. What do I got to do that for? And it's true. Right? And that's another reason why they won't do it. It's control, right? Let's see here. This Jared says, I have a hat that hides the antennas that receives direct communications from aliens. I'm even for a time traveler. I wish. The Day the Earth Stood Still by Keanu Reeves. Alada, absolutely. Have you ever been harassed by any government or any other organization for talking about ETs and government cover-ups on your videos? Has anyone showed up at your door? I've gotten some weird phone calls and stuff like that so far. Some people have asked me, am I afraid of some of the things? I am, but my pursuit for wanting to get this out there is above that. So I always say, if I go ghost for more than a week, tops week and a half, then you'll know. And I'm not even trying to sound like, whatever, but bitchin' MC. Oh, thank you. What's going on, Horace? Rolls Royce goes, what are the chance Canada wants to be mega plus C? Well, I can tell you there are, at least in Toronto here, there are a bunch of Trump supporters doing, I don't know about any more, but in the last few months, a lot of Trump mega not rallies, but like marches in downtown Toronto, stuff like that. Again, keep in mind, guys, we're very similar. Canadians are very similar to Americans in a lot of ways, but we're also very different. Depends where you look. Cole says, I've read the pyramids could have been a power generator similar to the tech Nikola Tesla was doing. Yes. Did you hear about the tunnels beneath the Queen's Chamber that had some sort of copper battery terminal? I have, yes. Which is why when we look at things like that, if we bring it even to a lower level, or I mean, in terms of like the pyramid of power, if we look at Leslie Wexner, the founder of the Limited Brands, the one who apparently employed Jeffrey Epstein because Wexner's tied to Israel and Mossad and the whole blackmail prostitution thing. Wexner had something very similar to that in his property in Ohio. But let's see if I get removed for saying that now. Follow the money, exactly, but when the money goes dark, that's when it becomes harder to follow, right? When they make money illegally and the CIA takes a cut of the cartel's imports every month, how are you going to follow that money, right? I totally agree with you, but there's certain things in the dark projects we can't. It's going to be hard. Let's see. Oh, damn it, the chat jumped down. Sorry guys, hold on. What do you think about that woman they found in a ship on the moon, the Mona Lisa or something? I think it's legit. I think they found a lot of stuff. If you check out the members only on Patreon, there's already some footage on the moon from back in the day we look at that some of my analysts have looked at and have said frame by frame, they cannot disprove it. So, I mean, again, it's up to you. Let's see here. Sorry, hold on. I got to go back up here, guys. Do you know who Eric Dubé is? So, no worries about the caps. Yeah, sounds familiar. I got to be straight with you guys. Like I said, I sift through so much info. It sometimes a lot of stuff slips my mind. Okay, hold on. 1 second. Oh, Antarctica. Sorry, Hayden. My apologies. 1 sec. Let me go back. Hold on, guys. Let me go back to Hayden's question. I feel bad. I read America instead of Antarctica. Let me see here. Oh, Antarctica. Holy crap, Hayden. I'm sorry. I totally misread that. What's going on in Antarctica? Tons of bases, tons of covert operations. I think the most extreme and ruthless ones are probably going on there because it's so isolated. If anything escapes, who's going to pick it up? The CIA satellites? And they already know about it. Not all of the CIA, but you know what I mean. They're going to put people who oversee that satellite footage in the know in some regards. Let's see here. Also, Antarctica is a connection to Agartha, so that's interesting too to see how that works. Let's see here. As per the webs, okay, sorry guys, I got to go down a bit more. The Black Knight satellite is a good one too. No more. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Yeah, I answered these. My bad. Can you tell? Okay. I'm almost back. Sorry. Let me see. I've read that okay, I believe that for those that are saying, I love your work, thank you so much. Let me see here. I believe it was the Anunnaki that helped build the pyramids. I believe these UFO pyramids resurrected are them as well. Right. The thing with the Anunnaki story, though, is that it's not consistent. And I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying it's not consistent. So there's a lot of disinformation very possibly there. What's interesting about the Anunnaki is I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the origination was, what the intention was. If we look at Matilda McElroy, which some say, she was claimed to be a schizophrenic and all that, or it was a Scientologist, I guess we could say cover or fake story just for attention. She allegedly, under the Majestic 12, interviewed one of these aliens because she was 23 years old. She was an Army Corps nurse. And she had the ability, for some odd reason, to telepathically connect with these extraterrestrial beings. Now, what I find interesting is that women, more often than not, can speak to these beings telepathically based on my research. And it could be possible because women are more in tune, generally speaking, with their spiritual side. No disrespect to us men, but I mean, that's what I find in my research. And so when we look at that, we have to say, it's very possible that this alien told this woman that the Anunnaki were legit, but there's a lot of disinformation surrounding that story too, and it was done on purpose. So look, if they succeeded at providing disinformation throughout all these thousands of years, the Anunnakis probably completed the most successful disinformation program of all time, to tell you the truth. Let's see here, cybernetic transhumanism. Oh yeah, I think even on a public level, it's only a matter of time for that. Let's see. Orgone energy. If you could be more specific, please. Ronald. Sam, what's your opinion on Bill Cooper? Bill Cooper. Oh, I get it. Sam, if you could shoot me an email, genzpodcast@gmail.com. There's some things I can't talk about if you really want to know my perspective on that. Um, I do feel like the Sphinx is much older than the pyramids. Also, how do you feel about the burning of the Library of Alexandria, like all the knowledge just gone? Yeah, look, there's a lot of knowledge that's been erased, either kept and covered up, or literally burned in a lot of ways. The problem is there's just so much with just amongst human history, never mind extraterrestrials getting involved in things like this. Um, conspiracy theory of everything on YouTube. I will definitely check it out. The tree's equilibrium is off. Right. If that's what yeah. If you're talking about in terms of like the 5G that allegedly does that, allegedly, yeah. Cole Carrington, what does frequential mean? Well, Cole, frequential is like a radio wave. Think of it like that. Those are the radio waves that are emitted to transmit different information, like how you get your music on the radio in the morning. But it's not, we think of it as that just for radios because that's how it started for humans this time around for us. Frequencies are all around us. We as humans emit frequencies, animals emit frequencies, planets, frequencies combined with, gravity, things like that. We emit them, our organs emit different frequencies, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Spooky, what's going on? Spooky says, what are your thoughts on the Society of Jesus or Jesuits or the Jesuit order Gematria, the coding of numbers into words? I think there's some truth to it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know where that falls into play when it comes to extraterrestrials, but even overall, the Jesuits and the Gematrias, I'm still looking into that. I think there is a lot of truth to it, though. Just like with anything, we got to be vigilant of the possible disinformation surrounding it. But I think it's very accurate in terms of the spiritual aspect of things. But it's represented in a very confined way that's very narrow to the way in which we should be perceiving things in a larger form. What can we do as a society today to expose the truth to the masses? Well, Stepan, I could tell you right now, that's what we're trying to do as a community. It's not even, it's about, look, I'll tell you guys right now, for the people that refuse to even consider any of this, we're not going to convince them. It's not going to happen. But if there's anyone whose minds we can open by slowly presenting them information that, slowly but surely makes them think a second time around, then that's the goal. The people that say, no, I don't believe it, there's certain people out there, guys, you can have an alien land their ship right in front of them and they'll still say, that I don't believe it. So again, that's the problem. You know how often I feel like standing on the roof and going, hey, but it's let's see here. There's been a discovery in one of the Greek islands where they think Atlantis was. Yeah, Cole, I heard about that. Apparently it's very iffy. There's a certain company involved, EG&G, that's covering up certain aspects. The second there's a company involved that has ties to any government, it's, again, I'm going to let that whole thing blow over and then I'm going to look into it, because to start researching it now with all of the information all over the place and scattered, there's no point in my opinion for now. We want to evaluate it when everything's said and done, or at least when we think it is. Let's see here. Akira is an early Japanese animation. Okay. I believe Atlantis is at the center of the earth, like in the Hollow Earth. That's the other thing as to what's powering it, right? It's very, look, I don't rule that out. Here's the thing. Atlantis could have been something that was, an island of sorts, or some type of, a geographical piece of land that was eventually detached from somewhere else, or some type of instance occurred that some type of warfare that maybe sunk it, or natural disaster. Look, if Atlantis was as advanced as I think it was, then to say that some natural disaster is what destroyed them, I don't subscribe to that as much. I don't rule it out, but I don't subscribe to that as much. Let's see here. Lori, hey Lori, how's it going? I believe Atlantis is located in Sahara I in Africa. Search up Sahara I. Well, that's the thing too. It's possible the piece of land of Atlantis could have been scattered throughout the years. It's hard to say. Oh, thank you, bitch. I appreciate that. Do you think Neil deGrasse Tyson is an honest scientist, or he's hiding about aliens? I don't think Neil deGrasse Tyson knows anything about aliens, to tell you the truth. Honestly, when I look at him, I see that the fame got to his head a little bit, but I'm not trying to say he's an asshole. I just see someone who really likes the attention. And look, I don't blame him. That's his thing. I know he wants there to be aliens, but again, he's a guy that kind of puts everyone who's not interested in science, puts them a little bit interested at the mainstream level. I don't want to say he's controlled opposition, but he knows his place. Maybe he's heard some things because of the friends he has higher up, but I think he's too. If you want to know my truthful opinion, I think he's a little bit too afraid to delve into the alien thing because it's not a joke. I mean, this getting involved in the alien stuff is like getting involved in organized crime, except 10 times worse because you have to watch your every move. You will get, disappeared if you say the wrong thing because you saw something. So again, I think it's actually all of these whistleblowers have talked about a very ominous feeling when they're trying to reverse engineer a lot of this craft. Now, at the same time, what I find interesting too that I want to quickly bring up is that a lot of these people that are trying to reverse engineer UFOs, they have no problem. You look at, again, Bob Lazar, what have you. They have no problem talking about reverse engineering the UFO craft. But the second they get asked, and even on a smaller level too, like on Reddit threads or AMAs or whatever, what have you, on blog posts and all that, they provide their credentials. They have no problem talking about the ship, but they refuse to talk about the weaponry side of things. And I find every whistleblower is consistent with that, big and small. Every time you get into the weapons side of it, they go, listen, and you could see the fear in their eyes. So I think they know that even if I think there's an understanding that the government knows if they're going to come out, it kind of helps the government's slow disclosure program. But at the same time, if you start talking about weaponry that you saw or tried to work on, you're done. We're going to destroy you, everything about your family. We're going to audit everyone around you, destroy reputation, take away your bank accounts, the whole thing. It's not always a physical punishment, guys. There's different ways of doing it. It's sad, but it's true. Eric Dubé, yes, I do. Oh, sorry, wait, hold on. I did answer that. My bad. Do you believe? Okay, so Obi-Wan says, "Hey man, much love from Germany. Thank you. Do you believe masturbation, watching porn is bad for your soul and mind or well-being in general?" No, I'm going to be straight with you. No, I don't think so. I think that's something that religious institutions have pushed more than anything. I mean, if you believe the scientific studies on masturbation, which I don't know why they would lie about this, they say it's healthy for you. So I hope that answers that question. Men and women, by the way. Um, Hydro Hose says, "You see everything, it all breaks down in front of you. The essence, the air itself is a complex design. Yes. Pulled into the void, you gain momentum locked forward, only slowing to what seems a lone star." The last part, I don't think I get that, but I see what you're saying, Hydro. I fully see what you're saying. It's an extremely complex design. And I want to say the word matrix. I know a lot of people don't like when I use that word because it's a very limiting word in a lot of people's minds. And I understand that. But again, it's an extremely complex, seems to be mathematical, and at a much higher level and even quantum state of composition within what we live here. Let's see here. Super hot, super cold. Sorry, Hydro, not sure what you mean. Do you believe the ionosphere contains infinite energy potential, Earth's vibrational frequencies from its magnetic field? I think not just I think everything naturally occurring has infinite energetic potential. And I think that's what scares the government the most. And I'll bring this up very quickly. Again, Cole, thank you. Because think about it like this, going back to my example before about being able to control people. I think what scares these people in the high levels of the shadow government and all that, I think what scares them the most is how easy it is to be able to harness some of this energy. And I think that's what really scares them. All we have to, because think about it, if you know what you're doing with physics or science at a very foundational level, it's not that hard to build a nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? And I bet the live stream probably got tagged because I said nuclear bomb. But anyways, someone can make a nuclear bomb in their kitchen. For the record, if there's anyone watching this, like not people, if there's anyone surveilling this, I'm not building a nuclear bomb in my kitchen. I'm using it as an example. You can probably build one in your kitchen. So imagine if you got a hold of that type of tech. I hope that that answers your question, Cole, because I think the reason why they also covered up Nikola Tesla's work, you know what I mean? The energy, everything's all around us. So I think if we found out how to harness that, again, what's the point in needing the government for assistance? For what? Right? So, and again, if you can harness energy in different frequential states, in different vibrational brains, you can grow your own food in places that you never thought, according to the weather, you could grow certain things like that, right? Do you think the pyramid UFOs are the Anunnaki? My friend Horace says, sorry, I spent a lot of time on this. I'll say quickly, I think they were involved in it, but if you want to rewind back, I did cover that quite a bit already. Barry says, wonder how many are genetically altered humans made to look alien. I think quite a bit. I think we have all walked by an alien at some point. Honestly, I do. Cash, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Can you explain what is a Stargate? Yeah, basically like a portal going to another dimension or another point in time. There's a difference between interdimensional travel and time travel, but that's what a Stargate is. It's like what you see in the movies, the circle, and you walk through it and then you come out somewhere else, right? Have you seen Australian? Not sure what you're referring to, but have you heard of Otis Care? It sounds familiar, Arb, but you'd have to. I'm not sure. Oh, Wind, nice talking to you, man. Thank you. Let me see, Mike. Did you see? Oh, can you talk about how shady Zahi Hawass, Egyptian Antiquities director, is? Let me see. I don't know enough about Zahi Hawass to comment, brother. If you want to fill me in more, I can then do my research and formulate my opinion. Let me see here, Mike. Did you see the scientist who created a model proposing a warp drive like the one described by Bob Lazar? Yeah. Again, I know some people don't like me for mentioning Bob Lazar a lot, but again, he's been what's the word? Vindicated. He's been proven right over time. He said in the 80s that particle was a wave. At the time, publicly scientists thought, gravity was a wave. But at the time, scientists thought that gravity was a particle, right? It turns out, many years later, gravity's a wave, right? He said element 115 existed, but it wasn't on the human periodic table in the 80s. By 2003, for half a millisecond in Germany, they smashed a bunch of particles together and said, holy crap, element 115 exists. So again, Bob Lazar has been consistent. I mean, I gotta say, maybe there's certain parts of his story that will discredit him, but look, his drawings of the UFOs, about how he said inside the craft is very, there's no curvatures. It's consistent with on Patreon what we analyze of the pictures inside the ships of UFOs. Consistent. We look at the three odd cylindrical cylinder-based devices or apparatuses at the bottom of each UFO ship that are sort of like gravity emitters or anti-gravity emitters. He's right about that too. If you see some of the pictures I put up on my Instagram story, again, could it be coincidental? Sure. But I mean, again, there comes a point where he's not just guessing these things. And there's footage of him saying this in the 80s, right? Let me see. What are your thoughts on that UFO that was caught on the Soho satellite harnessing the sun's energy? I think the ships that are very long and cylindrical, which most of the time are seen near volcanoes, the sun, things like this, I think those are the ships that are part of the secret space program that humans sometimes hop on with, the Nordics in some cases and the Greys in some factions. I think ultimately that these ships may use the sun as a type of form of energy, if you will. I know that's a bit out there. I have nothing to back that up. I don't know why else they'd be getting so close to the sun. Let me see. Brandon says, everyone is psychic, but they don't want the public to know that. Anyone can learn how to use psychic abilities if they practice right. They don't want people to awaken their true potential. Well, again, Brandon, going back to what you said before too, and what we were discussing as well, either whether spiritually or technologically, I think what a lot of the government fears is how easy it is for us to be able to harness it. You know what I mean? Without any type of fancy device or anything. And I think that's what scares them the most. Oh, the 6th, thank you. Let me see. Alada says the Pope is in Iraq today. Do you think he'll go through a Stargate? No. I think you'll have conversations about stuff that will never go on the record, but I don't think you'll go through a Stargate. I don't know. I think because his visit is too public this time around. But again, I could be wrong. Let's see here. Oh, thanks, Jamie. I appreciate that. Sam says, if you think we're in a simulation, what do you think is outside the simulation? The next dimension above or below. And maybe you might say, okay, Dave, how can you implement direction in a certain way? I think it has to do with layers, the way we think of layers or loaves of bread, in the sense of that if we get outside this simulation, there's another one. And I do have to say, according to my research, apparently a lot of extraterrestrials have told humans as well, they themselves don't know the origination of the universe. They're kind of close to they understand it way better than we do, don't get me wrong, but they themselves don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. Jerry says, yes, Dave, I was in undisclosed location in '03. Stargate in the area that we took over after seeing numbers of interdimensionals. Well, Jerry, listen, if you're willing to share your story, even if you want to remain anonymous I know your name's up there, but to a certain extent, if you want to email me, genzpodcast@gmail.com, I'd be more than happy to hear your story. If this is a simulation, our bodies are being used as batteries. Grand DP44 says that in a certain regard, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Absolutely. Christian says, I live in New York. Do you think it's a state we should leave because they're going heavy on trying to vaccinate us? I got to be careful with what I say, Christian. I hope what I say here can assist you. Look, I think the big cities will always be the testing sites for many things, not just what's going on now. I think I would have to say, honestly, if you're very fearful of it, I would say get out. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but again, if you don't want it and you're seeing it's being required for more and more basic day-to-day necessities, I would say maybe it's time to get out. I'll be honest with you guys, I'll be pissed if I got to take it and to get on a plane or something. Like, I don't even know if I will take, sorry, 1 second, guys. I had to, the channel just, be careful your channel doesn't get taken. I know. And Madman Killer says, I've been seeing some crazy stuff in the sky lately. Right. Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Dojo can ask for a shout out in the next video. Yeah, I'll write it down. No problem. If you want a shout out, let's see here. Have you looked into mud flood theory? John Levy on YouTube channel. Arb, if you check out, oh, wait, hold on. We did a members only episode on the mud floods. I will cover it more publicly this week, but it's because there was a lot of video footage that we analyze that I don't do publicly for a number of reasons. Us Canadians should focus on getting Trudeau out. Join the club, brother. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see. The pyramids are props left behind. That's another way of looking at it. Yeah. Let me see. Danielle says, do you think most of the ships we've seen are from inner Earth? Some of them, not a lot, some of them. Because apparently the Reptilians, specifically the ones, they're not the only ones that inhabit Agartha, if you want to call it that, but apparently they have limits. They can bring their ships out for certain things, but they're kind of like, I guess we could say, very much suppressed and controlled. What do you think about adrenochrome? Saladino asks. Well, Saladino, we covered that extensively in the members only episodes because on Patreon, which I pinned on the chat, because if I talk about that publicly, I've already pushed the limit a bit. I've been told I'm towing the line, so I don't want to, say too much here. Why do you think Bill Gates is buying all the farmland? Danny asks. Not for a good reason. Look, I don't care if his intentions are truly good or if he's actually a bad person. Anytime someone with that kind of money and power starts acquiring anything in mass scale is not good for a bunch of reasons. Why do I think? We can go all the way from his father being a eugenicist to possible experimentation to him helping Epstein with Epstein's underground cloning lab in New Mexico under the ranch of 100 acres that Epstein had. We can talk about all of that. I mean, it could be for a number of things, being contracted out to the government. It's hard to say. Let me see. Orgone energy is basically 0-point energy, aka ether, chi, or prana energy. Right, exactly. The question just becomes: are we in a dimension right now where we cannot harness that naturally, or have we been suppressed so much that our bodies can harness it naturally, but it's just we're impatient, right? We want the tech. We don't want the spiritual advancement. That's very human of us. Are nukes real? I've heard that nuclear scientists can't explain it. A lot of the footage of nukes are fake. Why did people move back to Hiroshima so soon after the bombing? No fallout. I don't know the specifics about Hiroshima. I would dare to say, look, I'm not bop beep bop. Nice username. I'm not trying to discredit you, my friend. I'd be more than happy if you want to send me an email of some of where you got that information from. From my understanding, they're very real. Just because, again, we've in theory, I mean, technically, we haven't seen one, been launched or dropped in years now. But again, it's possible that there's some science behind it that's unexplainable. But if you'd like to send me an email, I'd be more than happy to jump into that with you. If you had a time machine, but only to be a witness and not interact with the people of the era. Okay, so kind of like a fly on the wall. Like you're invisible, they don't know you there for your safety. I guess you're asking if I would do it? Yeah, I'd do it. Why not? If I can come back. Yeah. Um, have you heard the translator of the gospel? And that's another thing, by the way, guys. If I was ever asked by an alien to go on the ship with them and leave with them, I would say, look, under one condition, your technology is so advanced, I got to be able to keep in touch with the people of my show. That's what I would say. That's the only thing I'd ask. The show and my family. That's it. And my pets too. Um, have you heard the translator of the gospel, John Allegro, writing the psychedelic Bible based on the Book of Thomas? Is the Book of Thomas one of the hidden scriptures that the Vatican has? Because I think it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John publicly, and then there's like 10, 11 of them like in secret. But I have not. Let me see. John Allegro. Again, these names sound familiar. I must have sifted over it at some point, but no, not specifically. Have you ever had astral projection? If you had, what'd you see? I've astral projected, nothing crazy. I couldn't keep my focus long enough. I remember a bunch of times feeling like I fell back into my body. Nothing like just within my room where I was sleeping. Not like what some other people do when they can go out and they see things and all these other stuff. Let me see here. What do you think of Nibiru? I think it's real. There may be some misinformation about it, but I think it's legit. Do you know allegedly there's an alien base between India-China border in Himalayas, and a lot of UFO activities were seen by local villagers. The specific area is prohibited for public to visit. Okay, so Pawan, those types of signs are exactly what you got to look for when of some, maybe not aliens, but some type of government experimentation. That particular location, I've done a ton of research on. I'm like 95% sure that's alien human shared base. 100%. What species? I don't know, but let me see. Neil is closed-minded. Sorry, Balvig. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Let me see. Is the queen and her husband getting sick from no adrenochrome because of the lockdown? No, I don't think so. I think they can access adrenochrome even in this particular case. But look, here's the thing. I think it's not about them trying to change their physical bodies to live longer. I think it's about transferring their soul from one body to another, which is what could be happening with Philip right now. But again, for them, it's more about staying alive than I guess keeping the power, because if you don't stay alive, then you don't even have any power to begin with, right? But again, Philip's 99, remember, right? So if we take the whole, questioning and skepticism out of it, he's they're not good news. Oh, thank you, Stepan. I appreciate that. Let me see. The proposed wave that hit Atlantis would have been a couple hundred feet tall. Some say even thousands. Look, again, I'm not ruling anything out with Atlantis. You know what? I'm going to look into this more because you guys seem extremely interested. So I've already done a ton of research, but the reason why I'm waiting on that is because, again, apparently there was some part of it that's been found recently and there's a cover-up involved, and like as we speak. So I don't want to, how can I say this? I don't want to talk about or comment on something that is not finished yet, technically. Eros, if the queen wants it, she'll get it. Yes, yeah, I think so, in my opinion. Let me see. Luminary. Do you think the story behind the Anunnaki and about how they had slaves was created to make us feel like slaves now in this day and age? Luminary, I'll tell you why I think no. I say no because of the fact that the Anunnaki, there were drawings of humans being enslaved, yes. But I think if the government wanted to push that message more, they would have done it in a more prominent way. Now, we can argue that in a subtle fashion, that is the case, but I think it's not. The government is a little bit, especially in the West, even when they're trying to put things in your face, they're a little more loud about it than that way. They'd have some type of website or something like a cover site for people to understand more. I think no, but listen, I could be wrong. I have a feeling Neil deGrasse Tyson is CIA, Daniel says. That's what I mean by, yeah, controlled opposition to an extent, yeah. Did Harry and the Duchess run so the Magna Carta a fear of their lives? Did Harry and the Duchess run? Okay, so Harry and Meghan. I don't think it has to do with the Magna Carta. I could be wrong. I think what it has to do with is because Meghan was not liked and Harry didn't like what his mother did to a lot of different people, but specifically look at what the Queen did to Diana, right? Um, well, okay, that's not proven. Don't get me wrong, but let's be realistic here. And they say that in it's supposed to air tomorrow. The interview. Am I going to watch it? I don't know. I just what I want to see. Honestly, bit of a side joke. I want to see another Prince Andrew interview. My God, that was a train wreck of an interview. Um, but I think they did fear to a large extent. Yes, Harry and Meghan, absolutely. And Harry wanted nothing to do with the corruption of it. And again, like I said earlier in this live stream, there comes a point in politics, in business, you get to a certain level, you have to be ruthless. And I think Harry just wanted nothing to do with that. I honestly, when I look at him, he's one of the smarter ones. I look at him and I kind of see a guy that doesn't want nothing to do with that. But I could be wrong. Neil deGrasse Tyson is the reason I got more interested in science. Yeah, look, I'm not trying to shit on Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll tell you guys right now. But I think that ultimately, again, when it comes to the alien aspect or certain things, slightly controlled opposition, because here's the thing. The CIA is very realistic. They're not theory-based like the rest of the government is. When they see that you have friends in higher places, if your friends might say something while they, have a bit too much to drink at dinner or something like this, a guy like Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to hear those things. So maybe they've approached and they said, listen, keep your mouth shut. And they didn't tell him about aliens, but, a form of controlled opposition. I say that carefully. What are your thoughts about the Enki being labeled as the devil and Enlil being labeled as God, when Enki is the one who saved humanity more than once and Enlil being the one to wipe us out? Here's the thing. I have a bit of an issue with demonic, evil, devil, certain beings being named that, because it was so long ago. We have to look at who wrote the story, what group, maybe not one individual. We also have to look at what the conception and the word cognitively meant in a perception based event meant to these people, right? So for example, nowadays, if there was an earthquake, say for example there was no internet, we were living like it was 10,000 years ago. If there was an earthquake right outside my apartment, I'd probably write down right now, well, the gods have shook the earth and things like this. Now again, that's the form of perception. I think Enki was real. And I also think Enlil was real. But as to what occurred there, you have to look at where the information came from. And the best we can do at this point is interpret and use the data to look at patterns that might lead us down a certain path. Because if we don't use the data, even the small bits of it, we're just making stuff, we're just going down different roads, right? So I'm sorry, Jessica, I hope that answers your question. I think ultimately, look, whoever wrote this or the group of people that did, Enlil was clearly nicer to them. I mean, and seriously, he was. Alada says Neil deGrasse Tyson's compromised to a small extent, arguably. Raheem says thoughts on the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. I think on a public level, the people at CERN are doing some great stuff, but I think secretly it's a cover for like many different things. And here's the thing, they rely on opening these institutions around the world to become part of the conspiracy realm. Because again, in the conspiracy realm, you have a lot of people that don't look at the data. They see one video and they think that's it, right? And that's why here we look for the consistent data bits. But I think CERN, they knew before opening it up, the conspiracy theorists are going to create the disinformation campaign for themselves, sort of like taking a legit UFO or alien picture and putting it on a tabloid magazine, right? Or putting them in cartoons, right? You see it all the time. You don't even know it's real, but you think it's fake because you just see it all the time, right? I think that that's what's going on at CERN. I think there are a lot of very classified things that go on that a small group of people know about there. Angela, contact me. It's important we speak. Angela, genzpodcast@gmail.com, if that's cool. Cash says he's using the bomb in his kitchen as an example. I'm working on prototype for... Oof. Okay, hold on. So Cash, so what I was saying about that was basically saying that think about, 0 point energy that could be harnessed from the energy that we cannot even see with our own eyes all around us, right? If you can harness that so easily, right, you can make a nuclear bomb just as easily in your kitchen. That's what they fear, because then they wouldn't be able to control us if we got a hold of the knowledge that could allow us to harness this. You real, my friend, I'm not going to read that out loud just for your own safety in many ways. So Hadron Collider in Melbourne, Australia. It's important. Stargate. Yeah, Angela, like I said, send me an email, genzpodcast@gmail.com. Hold on, let's see here. Joe Rogan and Alex Jones are paid shills, controlled opposition. Look, I don't know about Alex Jones being controlled opposition, and I say that because actually, no, sorry, Joe Rogan. I think it's more likely Alex Jones is. Now, here's the thing. He's being taken. Look, it's so hard to say, guys, honestly. I don't I'm 50-50 on that. I really am. Joe Rogan being controlled opposition, I think he's indirectly controlled opposition, and I'll tell you why. He made his 100 million from Spotify. He doesn't, in theory, guys, he doesn't owe the world anything, which, he's enjoying his money and all that. So if Spotify tells him, listen, ease off on questions on certain things, he's going to do it. I don't think Joe Rogan gets approached by men in black suits and they say, Joe, you got to take it easy. But I think he asks just enough of the right questions, but he stops at just the right line as well. Let's see here. Thank you, Mwazi. Hopefully I said your name correctly. Do you think the Galactic Federation is aware and are doing something to stop what is happening here on Earth? Do I think they're doing something? I think they keep humans in check if we go too far, but I think it's gotten to a point now where human governments understand the limits in terms of top secret scientific experimentation. I don't think they're going to push the limits with the Galactic Federation because, again, like with anything, it's when you're a federation that is extremely advanced compared to us, how are you going to do anything? You have no power, you have no pull, right? But clearly there's something here they find valuable other than just trying to keep peace amongst everyone. What do you think is the best flat Earth argument? YouTube is interesting. They're banning some people for the flat Earth stuff. I don't know, honestly. I don't know enough about that. I mean, I look into flat Earth a lot. I'm not sure, my friend. I have to tell you. It's hard to say. Think any Tioshka brains, Dyson spheres are out there? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. In your opinion, what will the new big tech advancement be in the future? Something to do with the mind. And I say that not because it's like, the government wants us to excel, but because they will release neural technology that creates a form of transhumanism that they can exploit and control again. They're never going to stop looking for more ways to track us, control us. Very respectfully, it would be very hard to convince me otherwise. That's what it's something to do with the mind, because again, they tried with the wearables and enough people have that where they could track you with the wearables, but we need something more. Maybe Google tried with the Google glasses. Apparently Apple's trying, it'll be in the next few years. That's like kind of the big elephant in the room with Apple. We'll see. I think ultimately it comes down to transhumanism. I think I hate to say it, I think Neuralink will be exploited for that, whether Elon knows it or not. Some form of drop feeding or technology that'll be slipped in there in the production logistical side of things without him knowing. But anyways, let me see. Dave, I just remembered. What's your opinion on the law of one? A fanatical cult or bedded with some sort of logic? So, Cole, when you ask about the law of one, if you refer to things of Walter Russell's The Universal One and things like this, based on the data that I've researched, there's consistency to suggest this is legitimate. To say that is the law of one is the only form or belief system, I don't think so. I think the law of one, assuming I understand what you're saying here, I think it's on the right path to helping us understand. Let's see here. Oh, damn it. It jumped back down again. Let me see. What are the chances God is evil and the devil, Satan, was the good guy? That story, again, that's probably like the core of the Bible, right? God being evil and the devil, Satan, was the good guy. I honestly, Cole, I'm sorry, my friend. We're gonna have to have a personal chat about that, and I say that just because I'm gonna be not ranting, but talking for a long time. That's not an easy question to answer within 3, 4, 5 minutes. let me see here. Thoughts on Agartha being real or not? No, Agartha is legit in my opinion. Enki is a genetic scientist. Nama is a priestess goddess. It's very possible. What are your thoughts on Wilhelm Reich and orgone energy? It all ties into this metaphysical stuff. Orlando asks, yeah, I think Wilhelm Reich and orgone energy, the whole ether energy, all that kind of stuff, there's definitely something there. If you look at our Patreon members only, what you're going to find as well, too, is you'll see some legit footage that has yet to have been debunked regarding the Nazis experimenting with their, Nazi bell, or as they called it, the Die Glock, if you want to call it, that used a form of what we could say is, orgone energy and things like this. So yeah, Wilhelm Reich as well. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I got to scroll back up. I think earthquakes are not natural and caused by some heavy alien activities or technology experiments. What do you think? Again, I think there's a deep intermeshment there that we've not been told, that that humans nowadays, the ones that are aware of all this, understand because they've been told. Now, again, if these aliens have deceived them in the factor of what's occurred throughout human history, that's a different story in and of itself. Prince Harry's whooped by his girl. It's debatable. When I click the pen, it doesn't work. Sorry, Al, I'm not sure what you mean when you say you click the pen. Sorry, hold on. Eric, loved having you on the. Oh, thank you, Eric. Yeah, I was on the Prairie Land Paranormal podcast. You guys got to check them out. They're great, great show, great people as well. What are your thoughts on the flooding of the tunnels under New York and DC? Danielle asks. I think there's a little more to it than we look. Sadly, I think we're only coming to realize now that a lot of these natural disasters or things like this are not accidents or natural. Don't get me wrong, you'll have those, but I think it ultimately connects to something bigger. Now, I don't look at things, right off the bat is this something being hidden? What I do is I approach something not believing it, but not disbelieving it. I then look at the data. I then do my research on certain parts of the internet that, is a loopy gray area. That's the most I'll say. And then I look at the front side and I assemble everything. I then ask you guys in a lot of cases in the Telegram, Discord chat, what you guys think of this, and that. And I assemble it slowly like that. Let's see. How about the soldier that went into a cave and ran upon alien and had a shootout where he lost three fingers as they shot lasers at them? Yes, his name is Phil Schneider. Al Tyler. Oh, can't find me on Patreon. Try, if you're using the app, try the website. Some people have said that. I'm considered 18 and 18 plus. I don't know, maybe maybe it's me or maybe it's your age restriction. I'm not sure. I mean, I doubt it is, but try www.patreon.com/Generation Z on a web browser. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do there, but I promise if you email me, if you still can't find it, email me, Tyler, genzpodcast@gmail.com. I'll help you figure this out. Let's see here. Plants on lock. Oh yeah, I'll check out your stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Do you know of any popular stories like The Lord of the Rings that are actually about past ages? Well, I don't know about past ages, but I believe it was Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters film where at the final scene at the end, the aliens came off the ship and then they did a sort of human exchange program. Apparently that was based on very legit occurrences. Project Serpo, it's called. Is astral projection dangerous in regards to you signaling aliens or CIA monitoring these things? You're always going to take that risk. I don't know if it's dangerous specifically. I don't have the answers to that. You're always going to take that risk when you're in the astral realm. And that's one of the things, sadly, I would dare to say is the reason why they keep us in the dark in terms of, a lot of these studies about life after death or dreaming or consciousness or out of body experiences being inconclusive. And I think that's one of the reasons why. Let's see here. Any tips on how to astral project? Well, Calvin, I could give you some, but there's a bunch of different ways. If you could, honestly, you could just Google it. Not trying to dodge the question, but there's a bunch of different ways that you could do it. Make yourself fall asleep, keep your body still, and then set an alarm for a certain time, and then try to sleep while keeping your conscious awake. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Arrows. No, I was asking which era would you go? Oh, which era? Ooh, the ones that I know about or the ones that I don't know about? I would first ask them if there was a Stargate and there was this all-knowing knowledge. I would say, okay, I want to know about the stuff that I don't know at the moment, and then I'll choose where I want to go. But if I had to choose the stuff that I know, you know, probably the Egyptians. Very just curious, not just for the pyramids, but for a lot of different things. Um, let's see here. Check out the morphing Trevor Noah. I heard about that. I will. My homeboy saw a reptilian in a tree in Hollywood, Florida, and took a picture. Well, Joel, if you want to email me, if you can get a hold of that picture, genzpodcast@gmail.com would be super cool to see. Um, I heard aliens call Jesus the most radiant one. Okay, Joseph, yes, thank you for saying that because, okay, the thing about Jesus, and this is no disrespect to other religions, I think every major leader of every religion had some type of spiritual or energetic connection of sorts. Now, again, that was then filtered through many forms of disinformation mixed in with truth. But yeah, um, let me see here. I believe ETs deliberately given the cell phone, TV, and internet technologies to humans to keep us dumb and not to let us work on our spiritual abilities. Very arguable. We can argue there's a lot of different factions at play that are trying to suppress us. Absolutely. Um, Shapeshifter like Justin Bieber in Perth, Australia. Let me see here. Hold on. What's your opinion? Okay. So let me go back down just because the chat scrolled it down. Let's see here. How about the soul? Okay, I've answered that. Let me see. What are your thoughts? Okay, answered that. Sorry. Um, Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. Again, Tyler, if you have any issues, genzpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, let me see. Uh, Thoughts on Agartha. Okay. So I'm getting back here. Can you give me a shout out? Love from India. Yeah, I'll write it down. 1 second. I'll just write this down for you. Let me see here. Sorry. And okay. I believe as you do about the devil and God aspect. That's why I used quotes. Oh, okay, gotcha. Let me see here. Jessica, why is he jealous? um, what if JFK Jr. comes back through the 20 and back program? Just blew my mind. Anything's possible. Look, there's been a lot of speculation about certain politicians returning, or maybe they never even in theory died, things like that. I don't know about JFK specifically. I wouldn't rule out anything when it comes to the 20 and back program. I've been looking into it a lot thanks to my friend Chris. And I think there's a ton of legitimacy to it because it fills in the holes of a lot of, unverified pseudoscientific reports and things like this. Let me see. If I want to contact an alien right now, what do I do now? Well, allegedly, the CE5 protocols work a lot of forms of meditation by kind of putting your thoughts out there that you want to be contacted. They may not show up right away, but you might see a ship or something like this, according to a bunch of people. Whatever happened to the guy, Hutchison effect, anti-gravity? I don't know what happened to him. I covered him a while ago, but I'm not sure what happened to him specifically. I don't think I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I will look into that though, but Cole, Galactic Federation is similar to safari researchers. They don't just run into a pack of lions to learn about them. They stay back with their binoculars and control from there. Right. Very, very, yeah. Let me see here. Know anything about gang stalking? Yeah, I did an episode on that. I think it was publicly or on Patreon last week. I think it was. Gang stalking is interesting because again, also Broken Matrix TV said brain computer interface. Stalking seems to be a combination of technological and spiritual surveillance. If that makes sense. To what extent this occurs, I don't know. To what extent is it human or alien is hard to say. That's what we're honestly trying to figure out in a lot of regards too. I've been told Earth is attractive because we have angelic bloodlines. I've read that too. Now, here's the interesting thing about the angelic bloodlines. We then have to define what the word angelic means, right? Could it be a form of Nordics, the fallen angels? Arguably, a proposal that these Nordics refused to return with their factions. They stayed on Earth. Hence, the reason why we may have some alien blood in us, or things like this, or why our species advanced extremely quickly relative to the rest of other animals and things like and creatures on this planet. There's a neural dust in the atmosphere. Yeah, 100%. I've heard that before. Oh, geez, sorry. Damn it, the thing went. What are your thoughts on neural dust already being exposed to the mass population? I think there's quite a bit of evidence of that. I wouldn't rule that out. Oh, hey, Kiki, what's going on? What do you think of Billy Carson? Oh, sorry, one second. How can Earth be flat if you put a camera on a weather balloon so you would know how? Again, that's the big debate, right? What do you think of Billy Carson? Walton, someone else asked me this too. You might want to email me. There's some things I don't think I could say on here without getting shut down. Um, I believe that the law of one material is accurate as the info is consistent with other sources. Right. Again, that's why, for example, when we look at religion, the prana, chi, thing, or spirituality, there's no confirmation of it, but they kind of just leave it out there for us to decide for ourselves. The same way that the CIA dumped all those documents. They didn't say UFOs or aliens are real or not. A couple months ago when they did that big document dump, they just said, okay, here, right? And you decide for yourselves. Look, my argument is this. If they're telling us to decide for ourselves and they're not directly answering questions, if nothing existed out there of any extent, big or small, they would just say it doesn't. But why do they keep us in the dark? Like, again, it could be to create, pressure or fear for control. I understand that side of it too, but I don't think they would do this for this long just for that. There's other ways of control. Let me see here. What's your opinion on Bitcoin? Or do you think it's going to fall, or do you think that's the future? I want to honestly, Kiki, to tell you the truth, I'm going to need a bit of time to get back to you on that, just because the thing with Bitcoin is that it seems to be, initially it started off as a decentralized form of currency, which is fantastic, right? No one entity could control it. But the problem is that we see the banks with the blockchain technology getting their hands on it. It's only a matter of time. I don't think we'll ever have a true free currency, if you want to call it that. There's only one infinite creator. You are a part of this. Yeah, Earthworth, I agree. It's just to the extent in which we perceive it in our own eyes in a lot of ways. If they really wanted to track us with those things, why would they make them so expensive? Not sure what you mean by things, if you're talking about technology in general, like phones, because they don't infiltrate the commercial side of it, which is the profit side, because the profit side is what keeps a lot of these secrets going. You generate profit, the profit eventually gets, ends up going back to the government, which ends up going back into the black projects. If that's what you're asking. Let me see here. If that's not what you meant, dazed, then please ask it more specifically, please. Arrows, thank you so much. Let's see here. Do you think Tesla was a Venusian? I saw some CIA doc that said that, but it's the first I've heard of that. Well, Cole, I have to say, it would explain his ability to learn and understand things a lot more. But at the same time, we've had a lot of talented humans in the past that are just, fully just humans that are very smart too. I've seen the documents you're talking about. I have a source that tells me it is a form of disinformation with some truth to it, but that's all I got. I don't know what parts are true and what are false. That's the most I know. Do you believe Organite works? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, ever do lectures, seminars, events in Toronto? No, I haven't. No. If you're asking about me. Oh, thank you, Kiki. I appreciate that. Let me see here. Angelo, I'll look for you. Oh, thanks, Tyler. I appreciate that. Have you ever have access to the deep web and what you can tell about that? Javier asks. Okay, so there's a difference between the deep web and the dark web. From my understanding, the deep web is a forum, or not a forum, a place where a lot of people's personal data kind of floats in cyberspace, in the sense that, like, people's banking information, things like that. The dark web are the parts of the internet that you have to use a specific browser to get on. And when I talk about me doing research in gray areas of the internet, I may or may not be talking about the dark web. I got to be careful about what I say, because YouTube will take me down for that. So I will plead the fifth on that. Plead the fifth. Let's see here. Okay, just found your channel. I try to be careful of what I feed my brain, but very interesting stuff. Thank you. Again, it's not about me trying to, goats, it's not about me trying to tell you this is the way it is. It's more about expanding the perception of things more than anything. Let me see. Danny, or that flying platform by Viktor Grebenikov. Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Orlando says, I've seen gray while sleeping. I'm thinking it could be my imagination, but I've seen very real UFOs round with lights, but it could be military. Right. At this point, they're working with humans and vice versa. We don't know what's what. If, some people have claimed, to have seen military soldiers dressed up in their gear during abductions. Possible they're Nordics, to be dressed up in camouflage, but it's hard to say. Ahmad, I'm sorry, my friend. If you email me, maybe we could figure something out on PayPal or something like this. If you're having trouble finding way through comments, look at timestamp next to. Oh, thanks, man. Let me see. I don't even know where I could. I'll find it. Thank you. I would want to go back to. Arrow says he would want to go back to the Sumerian times. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Good one. I know the Third Reich is on Ceres. Do you think Hitler made it out? Danielle says, well, there is some evidence I recently came across CIA documents to suggest that Hitler was alive after he did not actually, because when you look at the way it worked with the body, the Russians apparently got a hold of the body. It turns out that it wasn't his body and things like that. Hitler had a ton of body doubles. It's possible he made it out. In terms of where he went after that, I will look into that. I have seen some documents that suggest he went to Ceres. Or Ceres, which depending how you pronounce it. I definitely think he didn't kill himself, though. I'll tell you right now. Have you ever heard of the term ancient blue? I have, but I have. But I can't, off the top of my head, I can't recall. Let me see. What is the alternative for cell phones? They're always keeping us engaged in something or the other, and we never pay much attention towards raising our spiritual. Well, the idea is if you become enslaved to any form of technology, you're the slave, right? So the alternative for cell phones, there isn't one in terms of like direct communication with people. I mean, unless we ascend our bodies enough to the point where there's a form of telepathic communication, I don't think there is an alternative if you want to stay in the loop of things, sadly. Cole goes, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. I don't know what that is. You're asking a time-old question, my friend. The guy on Good Charlotte has a lot of good understanding. The drummer, he's a ufologist. Oh, cool. Eros, yeah. Do you think things that you are told, do you know things you're told not to talk about? Look, I'm not trying to be some mysterious person for attention or whatever. There are a few things I'm not that I'm holding back from you guys, but that I have to be careful how I present it, or else I'm definitely going to get removed. So if you mean in that way, there are some things I know right now that I really want to show you guys, thanks to some of my friends too, that have really helped me with research and stuff, that I'm trying to figure out how to get around it. I might have to put it in the members only stuff, but we'll see. In that regard, I guess you could say yes. If you join the Patreon, there's a lot of things I kind of update everyone of what's going on in the Telegram group chat of what I'm my leads and sources, not all of them, but the ones that they're okay with me broadcasting. CE5 is amazing. Gateway process is great too. Yeah, that's what I've heard. What are your thoughts on the Chimera being responsible for the veil around Earth, which is supposed to be a sort of frequency barrier to keep certain beings out, and how we was able to thin? Yeah, I think there are certain frequential barriers put up, maybe even around our galaxy, that keep certain things away, certain beings away with purely negative intentions, worse than the ones that are here now. Oh, that's great. Clear skies in New York City. Awesome. Oh, chat's 111. Nice. Geez, I gotta scroll back up. Eros, I will watch the documentary. Adesh asks, do you think these recent earthquakes happening, literally 3 earthquakes hit New Zealand, do you think aliens are a part of it? If they're not, then it's some type of experimentation. You look at the seismograph charts and there's an inconsistency amongst many different independent researchers that collectively agree is extremely anomalistic, even for natural occurrences. So in plain English, yeah. um, I have a friend that says they're a reincarnation of a Sumerian god. Do you think higher beings can be reincarnated in a human body? Again, we have to define the word God. I think so, in terms of reincarnation, but we have to define the word God, right? Who oversees Earthworth knows what's up. Oh, sorry, not sure if I don't get that, my friend, but Dojo says, who oversees the CIA? Probably extraterrestrials indirectly. If there are aliens on Earth, do you think they use the internet? Yeah, I think the ones that are here just to hang out, I think they kind of find it amusing. After coming to Canada, I've been spiritually awakened now. I am so much into space stuff. Feels like going back to my country. Market is always going to crash. Yeah, I see what you're saying, my friend. He's jealous because I look at your upload and you're the Jessica, thank you. I appreciate that. Please say hi to your boyfriend for me. Let's see here. Starlink is playing with a lot of drones in the sky to make you think that they are UFOs, like the display at the Super Bowl at halftime in the sky. Right. A lot of it is drones that the military is experimenting with. Even Starlink too. Right. We look at DARPA's. What's that program that DARPA's doing? It's supposed to be like the Terminator version of Skynet. Like it's I forgot, but you know what I'm trying to say. Kiki goes, if you want to learn how to astral project step by step, message me. No sales. Okay, awesome. Kiki, if you guys want to learn, message Kiki. If you are interested in contacting ET, watch the film Close Encounters on Amazon Prime. I have. What are your thoughts on star seeds? I think to a large extent they're legit. I think it's a combination of what we see now in certain regards. Okay, let's see here. Let's go down more. Hey, I have mtDNA haplogroup 12C, which is Egyptian Nordic. Check out Princess Skoda of Egypt. I'm blonde hair, blue-eyed, multiple races are above. Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. Do you think these recent Earth... Oh, no, I answered that. Okay, Broken Matrix says, I'm gang stalked. Look, I think I felt that too. I've been gang stalked too before, not going to lie. Again, it could be a form of technological and spiritual surveillance on an advanced level. I don't want to pretend like I know how to get rid of these things, but there may be ways to do it. Again, the biggest enemy of these governments, of these negative extraterrestrials, are us. We don't realize the potential our bodies have in a lot of different ways, right? And so we're barely scratching the surface because of possible suppression over many, many years. Do you think if a spirit or a light being ET would intrude in U.S. military or reptilian underground bases, can that be captured or detected? Pawan, I'm not going to answer that, and I'll tell you why. Doing an episode on that tomorrow. DNA proves multiple myths to be true. I think Gates is trying to reverse Anunnaki patterns, so DNA enhancement and gold dust and air. Look, I think, Manzano, I appreciate you saying that. I think there's tons of experimentation going on. Forget ethics or morals. Forget that's out the window. But let's see here. The only free currency is barter and trade amongst ourselves. They control the internet, the electricity, all of it. Right. Yeah. When you really break it down, yeah, absolutely. Angela, do you know how many star beings are actually on Earth? Don't think I know. Not off the top of my head, at least. Let's see here. Vatican also leaked archives, still slowly coming out. Check out Melusin. She's a literal reptile. It's possible a form of disclosure is occurring there too, in correspondence with other world governments or something like this. Adesh says government equals mind control. Well, yeah, in a lot of ways. Eros, if you watch the documentary called Two-Face the Gray, if not, watch it. It's $3.49 on Amazon Video. Okay, cool. One of them, okay, so T-Nell is responding to Cole, but he says that also one of the files says that Nikola Tesla, was an ET reincarnation. Ooh, I see what you're saying there, because that could explain some of these unexplained memories he claims he had, or knowledge of how to create certain things. Did you hear that Nikola Tesla was a Venusian? Yeah, I answered this earlier, but let me see. I read that somewhere also was declassified by the CIA as a newsletter. Right, arguably. There's apparently, again, I have a source that tells me there's truth in there mixed in with some disinformation. Rogan and Jones are CIA, FBI. Look, it's debatable. Um, oh, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Assuming you're saying that to me. Uh, oh, Dazed. Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Or girl. Not sure. I saw the videos of. Let me see. I saw the videos of Hillary and Huma. Oh, Huma Abedin. Don't watch. They are my literal bloodlines. Salem witches from Jerusalem. Look, if that's what the bloodline is, then shit, that's some creepy stuff. Your chat 111. Oh, cool. Eddie says adrenochrome. Right, Eddie. I can't go into much more publicly. Um, I'll just wait until I get it, but you pronounced my name right this time at least. Ahmad, right? Okay, sorry. I read the book Hitler read. Check Adam and Eve story CIA leak on Wiki. It's based on it. He followed the Nordic Aryans who went to Buenos Aires. Okay, so Manzano, I didn't mention this today. I mentioned this, I think, last week's episode. Allegedly, one of the reasons why Hitler said that blonde hair, blue eyes was the way to go was because a lot of Nordic aliens that were working with him, again, the Nordics, certain factions will work with whatever current human power or dominant group is controlling everyone else at that current time. Allegedly, Hitler's superior or perfect race was that due to the Nordics. He believed these aliens are spiritually and in many ways above us with knowledge and everything. Some of them two hearts, some of them six fingers, things like this. And so I wouldn't rule that out. Now, please don't take that as a defense of Hitler by any means, but apparently that's one of the reasons why he was saying he loved the blonde hair, blue eyes thing. What's your thoughts about Richard Doherty? If you want to email me, my friend, just because there's certain things I can't talk about that either. But I don't know like a large amount of them. Let me see here. Let me see. Sorry, it jumped down again. Randy says, good evening. Good evening, Randy. Hope you're well. Have you ever seen ever watch Bruce Sees All? Why'd I say Bruce Lee's? Bruce Sees All. Lots of great picks. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah. Do you believe in the Holy Spirit or something else? I believe there's a form of, Adrian, there's a form of energy that we cannot explain in multitudes of different scientific, I guess we could say, what's the word? Anomalies. That's what they say publicly. Holy Spirit per se, I think it's our definition of something or our perception of a form of what extraterrestrials refer to as divine energy. I have saved all these docs I'm trying to upload. Do you use Yandex? No, I don't, Menzano. But again, if you could email me, genzpodcast@gmail.com, I appreciate that. We can talk. What are your thoughts on star seeds? Yeah, legit. Satan oversees the CIA. John Calloway says, again, John, I'm not saying that's not true. We have to define what you mean by Satan, and then we can discuss further. I think we have all the same energy. Book of Enoch, fallen angels. If you start thinking about the Abraham's religion and smooth them with all the myths, bam, Greeks, Egyptian, etc. Right. There's a lot of reports on UFOs in Colombia as of recent, and a hotspot is Cali, Colombia. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence. A ton of these UFO sightings are being seen. I think most of it's human at this point, but China and Russia are pumping out satellites for 5G upgrade. They are also releasing all the plagues, Manzano says. Well, Manzano, again, there's a lot of plagues, as we call them, which we can argue are actually plagues in different forms or variations that they're constantly trying to do towards even their own people. And I would argue that in many other countries as well. And so, again, the 5G thing, it may in fact be, 70, 80% what they say it is. But all you need is that 1%, let alone 20, 30% to be, slipped in there, and we got a problem, right? Let's see here. Totally off topic, but what do you think of Zack Snyder getting forced out of his own movie 4 years ago? Apparently, he left, my friend, because his daughter committed suicide. And it was kind of a thing where they said they had let him go, but it was just for looks until later on he was comfortable to come forward and say his daughter killed himself, from what I understand. Best DC film in your opinion? Story, probably Wonder Woman. What I like the most, I'm a huge Batman fan. Nah, but the Two-Faced Gray is too crazy. It's talking about gray cloning facilities in Mexico and Australia. Again, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of shady things going on in Australia. I have one very good friend there who keeps me up to date with a lot of things. Australia, in my humble opinion, is very big brother. Not very, but a little too big brother, in my opinion. But again, I could say that about Canada too. It's the partnership with the US, right? Ever hear of a round-shaped rainbow of light with discs emerging from it? Yeah, I have. I have a few pictures of it actually. I saw this over I-5 Tuesday nights in a row in Washington. I think that's where WA. Sorry, guys, I'm tired tonight. My mind's off a bit. I have though. Yes, yeah. Um, anybody know about this 1111 theory? I'm seeing this a lot every time. Yeah, some say good luck. Some say it's a meaning from something else. Let me see here. To set up for a stage. Oh, alien invasion. Well, again, Project Bluebeam, some type of staged alien invasion wouldn't surprise me. Is graphene the future? Raheem asks. In a lot of ways, it is. In a lot of ways, it is indeed. Yeah. I would dare to say a lot of it's drop fed too. Oh, Dojo, I was just about to read your thing and then you retracted it. It's okay. Do you think there will be some sort of spiritual awakening? Vincent asks. I think this is the spiritual awakening in a certain regard. I don't think there's going to be like some government regulation in a certain way, but I think a lot of what's going on here on the internet nowadays, although there is a lot of disinformation, I think this is a part of the process of the awakening. Let's see here. The volcanoes are unreal too, as well as earthquakes. I've heard about a polar tilt coming. Thoughts? There's allegedly there's always some type of a polar tilt, and I say that not because like apparently this one has just gone public. There are a lot of things that have been covered up that have not even had a front cover for. Let me see. And also speaking of earthquakes and volcanoes specifically, Danielle, I have photos of cigar-shaped UFOs going right into volcanoes right before they erupt. Maybe there's something there these aliens want before it erupts. There's something that these volcanoes produce only when it's about to erupt, right? Let's see here. Didn't know anyone else was stalked, but I've been attacked before, and I have a handprint of what looks like an extraterrestrial's evidence. Taybo, if you want to email me, genzpodcast@gmail.com, if you're comfortable to share your story and whatever evidence you may have, I'd be more than happy to talk with you, my friend. Do you think the ancestry DNA collecting is for other purposes? Oh, Linda asks this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole, ancestry.com or what's the 20 is it what is it 23 and me, I think it is. Anyways, all that stuff, guaranteed it goes into a database that maybe even those companies themselves are not familiar with, or maybe a very classified government contract that only certain executives are aware of. It's all intermeshing. Don't respectfully, I'm not trying to fearmonger or make people not go and do these kind of things if they really want to see their bloodline, but don't for a second think that your DNA is just being thrown out. Let's see here. No, thank you, Linda. So let's see. Manzano, Book of Thoth is my Bible. The Watchers are here. King Solomon once beat the 72 demons. I think that they were reactivated into CERN. Well, listen, Manzano, CERN is very interesting. I brought this up earlier in the live stream. CERN, they smash they say they're just a bunch of scientists trying to smash particles together. I think there's a lot of them doing great work there, but at the same time, there's a lot that don't know what's really going on there. Let me see here. Someone's asking Kiki if they can learn how to astral project. I wish I could give you Mwazi Kiki's information. I don't have it. Oh, thanks, Cole. I appreciate that. I would like to see Dr. Stephen Greer, CE5 at Skinwalker Ranch. That'd be wild. Well, Skinwalker Ranch is interesting. Some say it's a hoax. Some say it's a fantastic place for paranormal and UFO people. I think it's a combination of both. Let's see here. Gang stalking seems like an energy is controlling these people and gets in a negative vibration they're not aware of, Orlando says. Great way of putting it, my friend. And there's a web of people that sense that you're off and try to get you in line. Right. Now, what does that mean, getting someone in line? It's a great question or a great thing to say. Also, again, the energy, we have to define energy. It's a very broad term. Spiritual, technological, maybe a bit of both, right? Great. I appreciate you saying that. What are the significant? Oh, the chat jumped again. Okay. Oh, there's some cool comments here. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. I'm not that far back. What are the significance of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or Thoth? Um, Apparently, it has to do with and I could be wrong here. Again, I'm just off the top of my head. Subscribing to the Hermetic principles in many different ways, and as above, so below, yin and yang. Overall, the concept of a lot of different things that are collectively agreed upon amongst many religions or spiritual followings, if you will. Um, don't talk about skinwalkers unless you want to encounter skinwalkers. Fair point. Ruben says, do you have any Spanish speaking people you recommend that touch on the same topics you cover? Ruben, I'm sorry, I don't. If I come across any of them, I promise if you want to email me with your contact info, I'll point you in that direction, but right now I don't. John says, the angel known as Samael, Azazel, and many other names. Who is Satan? Question answered above. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Cole says, Australia is huge, so much open land to build underground facility. Right, that's another thing, absolutely. WA is Washington. Oh, okay, thank you, sir. The family says, hey, how are you? The Thoth tablets literally fill in gaps. Mention the magnetic pole switch that initiated the sinking of Atlantis. They ended up in Portugal, amongst other places. They mentioned Halls of Amenti. Right. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Manzano. I appreciate that. Let's see. Angela Clark says Valiant Thor. Yeah, I think that's legit. Wes says gang stalking is a form of intimidation where a large group of people follow you with street theater, briding, anchoring, several other tactics, mainly making you seem having paranoid delusions too. I think that's one form of it. Absolutely. I think there are other forms as well. Orlando says there's this guy that catches alien on a regular basis on camera, infrared hunting cam. He has a theory they use invisibility cloaks. His YouTube is Astral Projection Pilot. Thank you. I'll check that out for sure, Orlando. I think they use invisibility cloaks all the time. Do you think we have the tech to fool millions of people into thinking they're being invaded by aliens? Absolutely. Advanced tech, but we got it. Yeah. Washington State. Okay, cool. Do hold foundation TGB9. Sorry. Oh, die hold foundation? I'm not sure what you're referring to, my friend. If that's actually a thing, I don't think I've heard of it. Let me see. Listen to Book of Thoth, Emerald Tablets. It's quite fantastic. Great bedtime story. Yeah. Yep. It's highly likely if you're being gang stalked, you will go to a psychiatrist and then tagged as paranoid so as to discredit you. Right. Yeah. Well, discrediting is one of the first things they do. Did you hear about CDC updating its website's zombie preparedness? I did. Yeah. I'm going to look into that too, man. There's so much. I think this coming week, you guys are going to be very happy with the public episodes and the private episodes. Man, I got like the members only Patreon. I got some footage for you guys. Lots of it too. What do you think why all the whistleblowers and guests on Cosmic Disclosure are not dead yet? I don't want to disrespect Cosmic Disclosure, but maybe there's a form of controlled opposition. I don't know. Which is why some people have argued, they said, Dave, when you get big enough, you'll become a form of controlled opposition, even to a limited extent. Look, the way I answer that is we'll deal with that when we get there. That's why I like to do the Patreon, because I truly answer to you guys. You guys fund me and the show. I like to answer to you guys, and that's why I hope we can keep that away. Let me see here. What about Eric Dollard? Yes, my friend, TG B9, genzpodcast@gmail.com. We'll talk there. Let me see. If they don't want us to know about these secret space programs and black projects, then why are they letting these shows and movies go on air? Well, you see, Pawan, the way it works is, if you don't want someone to find out something that's extremely secret, you put it in something like a movie. You put it in a cartoon. You put it in a magazine. You put it in a comic book. You put it somewhere that if it may happen realistically and someone gets some type of footage of some of these ships, you'll say, no, how could it? You're telling me the thing I just saw in that cartoon looks the same as you see how they do it? And that's why, again, it's a form of disclosure for those who believe, but it's also a form of denial for those who maybe just don't want to believe or never even thought about it, right? Let me see here. Hydro hose. Yeah, you see everything. It breaks down in front of you. The essence of the air is a complex design. Pulled into the void, you gain momentum, locked forward, only slowing to what seems a lone star. I think we talked about this like an hour ago, but yes. Dazed says, we'll get stimulus checks until U.S. national debt reaches 33 trillion, then crashing the dollar, replacing it with Bitcoin, projected at 322,000 years end. Oh, by the end of the year. One Bitcoin, I guess you're saying that's what it'll be worth on March 3rd, if you believe in gematria. That's a cool theory. You push the traditional form of, or the saturated form of currency, and then transition it over. So just pump the debt up until, I'm not an expert on macroeconomics, but I mean, look, unless I'm missing a lot of things, which maybe I am, which maybe Dazed, you know more than I do. Do you think the Earth is being terraformed? In some ways, yeah. Some reports from the victims say they use technology to send thoughts into your mind, as well as making you lose your job and all relationships with family and friends. That's one way to discredit you. If you really know something they don't want you to know, they're going to make you go crazy, maybe quite literally. So, John Hall, I do feel like I owe you a bit more of an explanation when you asked, do I think the Earth is being terraformed? I don't think by humans. I mean, I think it's possible. Castro at the time had accused the Americans of using weather and things like this to control the weather. I forgot during the Cold War and all that. I forgot exactly what the project was called, but I do know during the Vietnam War, the Americans used something to not necessarily control, but to harness the weather. And then eventually the United Nations and all that later on said, okay, you can't do this. It's got to stop. But I still think they do it. Now, I think aliens are terraforming in places like volcanoes and things like that. And I talk about that more on Patreon just because it gets into controversial stuff that might remove me on here. But I think what I can say publicly is I think they're terraforming for their own purposes. And they kind of tell humans, listen, we're doing this. And humans kind of go, yeah, okay, fine. What are humans going to say? No. Some factions of the secret space program, or the ones that know about these things in the intelligence community, might say, hey, can we come watch as you do this? Can we do this with you? Right. Let's see here. Right, Angela. Nothing. Right. No such thing as conspiracies, but no such thing as coincidences either. It's all linked. Light codes, binary codes, numbers don't lie. Right. I prefer if they made me into a console to play games. I guess you're talking about aliens. Did you hear about the cigar-shaped object that came in our solar system and left in curve? Well, Flawless, I know that you're watching live, but we covered in the first hour a lot about this, the Oumuamua. I think that's how you call it. I have, yeah. I don't think it's just a rock that's floating. I think some type of extremely advanced technology or a natural element that could be harnessed technologically by these beings. Yeah. Let's see here. Giant alien ships can. Oh, damn it! The thing jumped. Hold on, I'm not that far back, guys. Oh, Ruben, thank you, man. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yeah, that's how you spell it. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Can you read me poem, please? Sorry, my friend Hydro, I can't. Oh, thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Manzano, Gaia is connected to CIA shills. Well, look, I don't think Gaia can get that big in terms of traditional forms of commercial advertising and not be even to a small extent, a form of controlled opposition. Now, listen, guys, I like Gaia. I do. But there's some things I have to be vigilant of. You know what I mean? Which I guess hopefully answers Dylan Jones's question of how credible is the Gaia channel. Let's see here. Let me see. 1 second. DNA collect. Okay, hold on. Do you think there's going to be a zombie apocalypse after they put out that guideline? Here's the thing. There was a zombie apocalypse guideline earlier. This one has just been revised. I don't look. It would be. I don't think there will be a zombie apocalypse. I'll tell you why. The technology these governments have, like for example, I'll tell you, the former head who's now dead, back in the 90s of the Skunk Works division at Lockheed Martin had said, he goes, listen, he goes, it would take a miracle of God or a miracle of whatever for a lot of these dark and black projects to be revealed to the public. I honestly think, guys, that no human, no matter how evil, wants to murder every single human on the planet. Because what else would there be to do? Now, maybe I'm missing something, but I honestly think if there's that bad of a zombie apocalypse, they will bring out this technology to prevent it. I honestly think so. Here we go. Ruben says giant alien ships camouflage as clouds. You can spot them if you really look. Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because the data is consistent, in which shows that there's too much anomalistic occurrences. There's too many flukes. Now, we could say, you know, Dave, the Earth is a big place. I mean, there's clouds all over. Yes. But again, going back to, I forgot who said the rainbow UFO, it's that idea of camouflage, invisibility. Again, if you have anti-gravity, you can bend light, you can bend everything, force fields, invisibility, all of that becomes legit. DNA is 100%. They started with targeting the Uyghurs. I sent Powell the science before China deleted it. It's odd. I literally used to work making vaccines, so I tracked it all. Manzano, if you have anything in specific you want to discuss or share that I could put on the show, I'd be more than happy to speak with you. genzedpodcast@gmail.com. Let me see. Cole says, I'm okay with aliens, but skinwalkers scare the shit out of me. I had a dream when I was younger where there was a figure in the middle of the road and I had a strong metallic looks, taste, smell in my dream. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I've heard that before. By the way, if you guys hear tapping, that's the people that live above me. So I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that. Let's see. Let's see. Again, thank you guys for the Patreon stuff. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Do you believe in years from now the Nephilims will walk among us and have their own civilization up in the mountains if they're being awakened by deep state operatives? I think some of them are still alive now. I think some of them are in Antarctica. Yeah. Do you have any videos on Project Looking Glass? JPA says, I did one like last summer when I first started the show, I think. I'm probably going to have to do it again just because I found more information on it and because, again, a lot of you guys weren't with me that far back or weren't subscribed that far back. Let's see here. Believe ET math. I guess you're saying mathematics. It speaks Hydro. Arrow says most of Australia is open land. Most of the population live in the coastline, so the whole inner part is open season for UFO and bases and etc. Yes. I like this channel, but I think a lot of the info is off. Listen, you real. I appreciate and I respect your perspective because look, my channel is not about, or my show is not about saying this is the way that it is, right? It's about broadening our perception. There may be a lot of things I'm incorrect about, but there may be a lot of things that I've gotten right, and I appreciate. The whole point is to decide for yourselves. Again, I like the motto, you know, we report or I report, you decide. And it's not to kind of take me out of it, but I don't want to push something on you guys because if I start pushing certain narratives onto you guys, what's the difference between me and another political show? You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it, at least. The zombie preparedness from the CDC been out. I remember they updated it back in like 2013. Yeah, they just did a recent update again, Eros, if I'm not mistaken, which is why people are asking. It's been out for a while, though, yes. Dave, what are your thoughts on the Baltic Sea anomaly? Lair Bear asks. Oh, I think it's legit. I think it's total cover-up. I think it's totally legit. If you're talking about either the creature or the ship, I think it's totally there. Yeah. If you're talking also about NOAA, NOAA, yeah. Let's see. They said the loss of taste and smell from COVID is caused by the radiation of 5G. What are your thoughts on life after death? I think there's certainly life after death. My research lately has suggested that based on the data, there is a sort of cycle. If we are not spiritually ascended by the time our physical bodies pass, that we reincarnate. Some people say you have the option, things like this. I don't think this is the end at all. Which is kind of what motivates me to say, listen, if I ever, say something that certain people don't like, or I get too close to the truth or something, I don't want to say I'm not afraid to die, but I've come closer to accepting it. I feel like information is going to be revealed regardless, and our government knowing that releases the information, but in their version. Right. Sometimes Ty Bo says this, and if you watch my episode from 3 or 4 days ago, again, when you bring yourself down before anybody else does, and this applies to all aspects of life, you control the way that it happens. If you create a lie and you start your own lie about yourself, and then you tell everyone else, then what you can do is you pretend like you caught yourself in that lie, but you control the narrative. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they're doing here. They're seeing that some things legitimately leaked, but then they quickly swap that document. They leave it out in the public, but they intentionally, through their cyber division, the CIA, push that the faker document, the less real or truthful document, because it's been manipulated with some disinformation mixed in between the truth. They push that one out to be the one on the internet more. The CIA then reaches out to all of their connections in the press, and they say, look, put this story up. You know what I mean? So then that fake document becomes the real one. You see what I'm saying? Let's see here. I like the idea of the law of one with everyone being connected. I agree, Cole. I mean, honestly, it explains a lot of things that are so unexplainable, at least for now. Sasuk, just tuning in. Glad I can make it. Oh, nice. Thank you, Sasuk. Let me see here. Cole says, but I get culty vibes from other things, like the idea of one all-powerful creator. As do I, Cole, as do I. I'm not trying to, disrespect anyone who believes in that, but again, I do believe in a certain sense we have to define what one is. If one is all, then isn't that everybody? You know what I mean? Like it's a really deep conversation. I see things on the internet as an attack on the mind. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Ruben, do you consider yourself a woke being? I never thought of it like that, Ruben. I appreciate you asking that. I don't know. I mean, I just try to present what I find. And then in terms of what do I label what do I label myself? I don't label myself a ufologist. I don't label myself anything really. I just find the information and present it. Do I consider myself woke? I guess we could say so compared to other people, but I think all of you are woke as well. I mean, that's the most I can say, honestly. Gematria and gang stalking are controlled by the same secretive groups. Very possible, very possible. Do you think there will be a judgment day? Well, yes and no. Again, in what sense? You know what I mean? And I'm not expecting you, my friend, to have the answer. Sorry, I gotta scroll back here. In what sense? Yeah, there will be. I don't know if it'll be the day in which, a lot of texts describe it as literally as one day everything's going to come crashing. I think there's too many interested extraterrestrials in our planet for that to happen, but it's very possible. I don't rule that out. Let me see here. Many of the anti-gravity crafts you show have shadows, which make me wonder if they're anti-gravity at all. Well, Lair, here's the thing. Apparently, there's a switch, a mechanism that can turn on and off the bending of light, which is why they can turn invisible and then come full, what's the word? Can be viewed in the with the human eye, right? There's some instances, where we see with the human eye these craft above water. There's no reflection on the water. There's many different settings here that they seem to have. I say settings with air quotes as we would perceive it. But it's a fantastic point you make. Absolutely. Again, we have to consider what the technology is. Bob Lazar said he worked on some craft that he saw the shadow as it lifted off. He said he worked on other craft that seemed to have a dual setting, not just also for when they left the planet's atmosphere, but also for when they were trying to go invisible or, give off shadows or something like this. Again, we're talking about extremely advanced tech, right? Let's see here. Ark of Covenant is in Ethiopia. Cool. Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't rule that out either. I've seen Eros goes. I've seen a UFO cloud that looks so sus. Yeah, there's a lot of those. You real says zombie apocalypse. LOL. Look around. Hey man, honestly, I know what you mean. We become enslaved to so many forms of technology and and other things too. You might be inferring to. I see what you mean. This could be. We're living in it, maybe. What are your thoughts on the divine or divine council? I think it's legit. I think that there's a combination of a lot of things with the Galactic Federation, the Andromedan Council. I think there's a lot of different things there. Lauren says, I feel we must be hyper vigilant in these times. It's the best we can do, Lauren. Yeah. Ruben says Gaia has to have some shady stuff in their programming or they'd get shut down. Right. Again, Gaia, no disrespect to them. I love their stuff, but here's the thing. There's a lot of commercial advertising that the CIA doesn't just brush over, you know? They don't just say, yeah, let them do it, let them do it. If any of it's legit, it's going to be some form. I'm not saying all of it is, because I don't want to disrespect the people that work there to actually bring it to what it is. But again, this is why, honestly, guys, I like the Patreon, because you guys can choose based on, if you donate or not, or if you subscribe or not, if I'm doing a good job or not. And I don't have to answer to a company or anything like this. I could talk about whatever you guys want, right? And also what I think is important too. Someone says F China. Well, hold on. The Chinese people are very nice people. We're talking about the government. Well, again, there's good and bad everywhere, but you see what I mean. Is it possible that Nikola Tesla was not from Earth? Yeah, possible. Neb N says, I believe it was called the HARP project for controlling the weather. HARP is interesting. The United Nations, Russia, the European Union all expressed concern over it. And I think that was their public way of saying to Obama and them. I don't know if Obama knew about what was going on at HARP, but it was their way of saying shut it down. You really think they shut it down? They just went underground, right? Let me see. Will you cover anything on Mars? Absolutely. Absolutely. Soon, yeah. Ruben, no disrespect. I'm a one-man show here. I need some time, my friend. Okay, so let's see. Now we can go back down, because who do you think has the Ark of the Covenant, US or the Vatican? I think it's one and the same. They both have it. I think wherever it's stored doesn't matter so much as who has the knowledge and the ability to access it. I think it's look at the marriage between the American politicians and government and the Vatican. One of the amendments, if I'm not mistaken, is there shall be no marriage between church and state. That amendment, from what I understand, assuming I know it correctly, just went out the window. Like, they don't care. You go to all, the national prayer breakfast clubs and those types of things for the elite politicians. There's always someone from the Vatican there. That's not a fluke. You can kind of, even if you look at it, if you're kind of a spiritual person, you can kind of feel such depraved energy coming from these breakfast meetings or things like that too. To be honest, that's what I get, at least. Oumuamua is Hawaiian word for scout. It makes you think, oh, I didn't know that, Eros. Thank you. Let me see. What are your thoughts? Okay, hold on. Gang stalking is real. It's crazy. They are nonstop revving engines in front of my house all day, 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a way of messing with you. It really is. I'm down for a zombie apocalypse where the zombies are dumb and slow walking, good shooting practice. Yeah, I tell my brother this all the time. If there's a zombie apocalypse, I want the ones from The Walking Dead. I don't want the ones from I Am Legend or World War Z, because those things, we're done. We're done if those things come to be. Radio frequencies bombardment. Not sure what you mean, Broken Matrix. Sorry. Let me see here. Nancy, thank you so much. Eros says, I used to have dreams of me being in a movie theater and the aliens from Mars attack movie went on a killing spree. This shit used to scare me. Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting question by Ruben. Do you think aliens have arrangements with organized crime, such as the Mexican cartels, ISIS, etc.? Depends what you mean by arrangements. And just give me a second. I'm just gonna have some water here. Or juice, both maybe. Arrangements through humans. Yeah, through humans. I think they do. And I say that because that's what tends to fund a lot of the dark operations. When it comes to ISIS, I don't know. Mexican cartels is a different story. If the CIA approaches the Mexican cartels and they say, listen, and look, if we look at the Iran-Contra thing with Reagan, it's not out of their depths to do that, particularly the CIA. They say, listen, we want X amount every month worth of cash. We're going to seize 2 to 3 shipments, X every 6 months to make it look like we're doing something. Now, remember something as well, too. The CIA has a department that is supposed to be the DEA's job, the Drug Enforcement Agency. The CIA has their own department because they believe they could do it better than the DEA. I think they have their own department for the dark operation or the dark projects because, again, this is not taxpayers' money. This is untraceable money. These are bags of cash, which is why it's been argued America is one of the last countries to kind of go away from cash. I know the circulation of cash is less now than ever before. I understand that. But I think cash is, in a lot of ways, like physical paper cash, is very important to the CIA. Because again, it's give us X amount a month, and this money funds the secret space program that they work with these aliens. So I mean, I guess in a way that's indirectly a connection with organized crime, possibly. I really appreciate the question. Um, they allow it because they only have their stories, no physical evidence. People will just call them crazy, and the government doesn't have to say anything because the CIA coined the phrase conspiracy. Exactly. Um, how do we have found giants and dwarf skeletons, but the consensus is we are the only race? Nah, that's Cole. I'm not saying this towards you in general. I wouldn't say we are the only race, to tell you the truth. Let's see here. Let's see. Everyone's show, Randy says, everyone's show is going to provide a different perspective. We're just here to share and be part of the conversation and share experiences. Right, Randy, because the ultimate idea here is to combine all of that and come to the best conclusion that we could relative to the information we have. Let's see here. Oh, thanks, Ruben. I appreciate that. Broken Matrix says rabies is what's going to cause the fake zombie apocalypse. The fake zombie apocalypse. Well, here's the thing with rabies. It's always been shown in the movies, and we know that there's a form of predictive programming there. But again, this is how they confused us. Some stuff comes true that was in the movies first, some stuff doesn't. So let me see. Adesh, thank you so much. Possible, Rui Reyes says possible that Nikola Tesla was not a human. He invented on average every day, every 20 days, a new thing. It's possible. Again, some of the documents are disinformation. Rui, my friend, very kindly, I only ask that you rewind back. I touched on Nikola Tesla a bunch in the last 2 hours, so I don't want to go out repeat myself over and over for those that have been watching this whole time. Oh, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. Have you come across the Lacerta files? Moazi asks. I did an episode on it a few days ago. Yeah. Do I think it's legit? I think so. ISIS and Sinaloa cartel are from McCain and CIA, Manzano says. Oh, that's very, very possible. We're stuck in a loop here on Earth in this dimension. That's why aliens have so much advantage, because they're beings who have broken out of the loop. Well, it's also because they may have been beings that were never born in the loop, right? But absolutely, absolutely. Do you believe we are third density beings and that Earth is the gateway to the next densities taken from RA complex law of one? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I would be interested to wonder if the 440 hertz frequency is found all around the BSA, and if that is what is causing all the equipment failure. 440 hertz pops up coincidentally over and over again. Please comment on HHDL taking vax. I think he's been blackmailed by CCP regarding his people in Tibet. Linda, I'm having a bit of a brain fart on HHDL. I'm sorry, if you could just be a bit more clear there. Ruben, oh, no problem at all. So far, Manzano, I have videos of screenshots and downloads of originals. I also know Assange's password. Careful with that if you do, my friend. Hydro, FPV is better than video games. Manzano for the dead man's. Ooh. Hey, Justin, what's going on? How come nobody in the UFO community, Justin asks, never really talks about Phil Schneider and Thomas Costello? Why do you think that is? Well, I talk about them, but besides that, I know what you mean. I think because it's a dangerous topic to touch on, honestly. As silly as that might sound to some people, or serious, I think it's very dangerous because it's an example of what would happen if you went to the lengths that Phil Schneider did. Now, they tried to discredit him, said he was schizophrenic, had a lot of problems, was suicidal, cut off his own fingers, things like that. When I watched his presentations, he looked very sane and normal to me. His father had a very advanced military history, and was also part of a lot of secret space programs, not space programs, secret military programs as well. They usually try to look for, the father-son, mother-daughter thing, generally. If they're in Alaska, then that makes sense about them dimming the sun. In a certain regard, yeah. Let me. Oh, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Okay, okay. So hold on. Let me just go back to that question quick. Oh, taking the vaccine. There's a theory that some of the the elites, or the ones that have those connections, they don't always have to be celebrities, but the ones with the connections, they're taking the real one, or the one that won't track them, or have some type of thing that makes them drop, just drop dead. It's possible. It's possible. Cole, rabies would be a horrible way to die. Oh, of course it would. Yeah. um Thanks, J. Marie. I appreciate that. Uh, Mexican cartels are a different breed. Oh, they sure are. Let's see here. During the blackouts of the White House, the Vatican was also in the dark. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, thank you, Simon. I appreciate that. Why do you? Sorry. What do you think of Kyle Odom's manifesto? Speaking of Martian from Mars controlling, Martians from Mars controlling the world. Well, here's the thing. I didn't think anything of it, and I'll tell you why. There was no other data to suggest that, at least that what I found. But then the former Israeli space minister came out and said that that humans are working with aliens in underground Mars bases. As to what extent the control comes back to Earth, I'm not sure. But what I find extremely interesting is that, look, guys, whether you like Israel or not, these guys don't mess around. They don't appoint some sicko, some crazy to be a space minister. You know what I mean? Especially in Israel. Whether you like them or not, a lot of them they put in very smart, intelligent positions. I think Israel, as a matter of fact, is more of a top-down structure rather than the U.S. But honestly, the former Israeli space minister said, he goes, look, I got all my degrees. I think he's in his late 80s, early 90s. He goes, if I said this 5 years ago, it wouldn't be as accepted as it is now, and he's right. But he goes, I got my degrees, and there's a base on Mars underground, Martians, if you want to call them, and humans working together. And he goes, if you don't believe me, fine. I got nothing to prove. He goes, I don't care if I get laughed at. He goes, I'm retired now and everything, right? So look, I don't see what he gains, what he stands to gain, other than fame and publicity, which people do a lot. I understand that, but again, kind of like Boyd Bushman, if you look into him. Another thing too, on his deathbed, seems very authentic to me. Do you guys remember the whole Google Truth Project that they pushed a while back? Yeah, I do. Yeah. China's whole population probably believes ETs because it actually happened on the news. I'm curious to see. They're very state controlled with their media, China. So I'm curious to see if I could take a vote of the Chinese people. It'd be really interesting to see what they think. WikiLeaks and search for intergalactic federation. Right, right. Also Gilgamesh, Hillary Clinton, all that. Nephilims. Spooky says, oh, Ross says, I've been watching your video since the start. I'm wondering if you have any merchandise or cool knickknacks I can buy to support the channel. Well, my friend, because of COVID and stuff, there's been some issues with our hoodies, so I'm not really, putting it out there because there's very little left in stock right now. To be honest, it's actually cheaper than a hoodie. I mean, if you do it month by month, then it's not. But Patreon is probably the best way we can do this for support, honestly. And you also get something in return. It's not like you're just sending me money, right? So will we find out the truth about UFOs in our lifetime? I want to think, I want to say yes. I will admit to you guys, I have a bias towards that, but I want to say yes. Again, the next 50, look at how quickly we've advanced in the last 5 years. Imagine the next 50. And I think a lot of it has to do with drop feeding, which is why. Cole, I'm awake right now. Does that count as woke? Nah. Let me see. Do you think that people with a lot of potential are messed with before they can reach that point? Messed with sorry, when you say potential and messed with, you talking about knowledge, you talking about telepathic abilities? I think the general answer is yes. Like I said, there's a certain point, and if you don't want to cross that line, then it's fine. But it's kind of like just with a lot of things, if you want to know more, there's a trade-off. Let me see here. Okay, let me see. Cole says secularism needs to make a comeback. Julian goes, do you think Elon already has Neuralink? I think he's got more advanced capabilities than he says publicly. Let me see here. What do you think of Kyle Odom's manifesto speaking? Oh, no, sorry, I already talked about that. Simon, thank you. Okay, let's see here. 213 Eddie asks me to speak on adrenochrome. My friend Eddie, that's for Patreon. The more I talk about it, the more chances I'll get shut down here. I also got warned by Instagram. I did hashtag adrenochrome one time, and that like it was on a story too, not even on a post. Let me see. Also, Schumann resonance, yes, is a great thing to keep an eye on. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, J. Marie. It's the fiat or flat system or fiat system versus the gold standard, right? Oh, Eros. Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Oh, geez, you should get some rest. That's not good. I apologize. Well, sorry to hear. Ruben says, I asked about the cartel because of the atrocities they're allowed to commit. The U.S. has everything they need to name them a terrorist organization so they can go after them, but they just won't. Right. You don't think if they really wanted to? Exactly. Right. Let me see here. I thought the Ark of the Covenant was in reference to the sphenoid bone canals to the eyes with relations to the pituitary gland. We'll investigate further. I think you're onto something. Absolutely. Let's see here. DJ Vlad. Not sure what you mean, Angel, but oh, what's going on, Melody? 213 Eddie says, when you die, you're not supposed to go towards the light because the reptilians trick us. You may also hear a familiar voice or see someone, but it's a trap so that we reincarnate instead of going to the next level. As crazy as that might sound to some people, maybe not on the stream, but overall, very possible. Very possible. Seriously, there's some research I'll be revealing soon that suggests this. Let me see. Expose him for DJ Vlad for being a part of the bloodline that killed Jesus. You mean DJ Vlad like Vlad TV, like the entertainer? Let me see here. Radio frequency bombardment is the genocide of all living things. This is the conspiracy. Smart meters, smart grid, all of these things we love are destroying biological. Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. Destroying the nature, absolutely. Take care, Angel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me see. Hydro hose. We all killed Jesus. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but let me see here. Oh, Jesus is a fictional character. Look, that's debatable. Yeah, it's possible. Linda Owen, His Holiness the Dollar. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me see here. Jessica, the U.S. is nothing more than the Roman Empire reincarnated. Of course, they're in bed with the Vatican. Jessica, it's a fantastic analogy, fantastic metaphor, like example. I think of that in my mind all the time. Let me see here. Let me see. Germans created UFO tech in World War II. Germans went to Antarctica. Yeah, yes to both. Yeah, I mean, at least I would think so. Elon wants to launch his version of Skynet, right, Ruben? Yes, and also, again, the DARPA program. I forgot, but I'm sure some of you guys know what it is. Dave equals 4 letters. Dave is probably at least 20 years old. 420, blaze it, confirmed. I have ideas on how to see the aliens, the ocean. It's easy. I have some footage of that. Yeah. Let me see here. If we end human trafficking, all of these crazy dumbs and experimentations will soon be over. They need people to continue these underground atrocities. That's the key. Absolutely. Wes S says, what was Google Project Truth or Truth Project? Okay. Let me get back to you on that. I don't have all the details on that, so let me get back to you, Wes. Ruben says, why do you think Bob Lazar was allowed to live? Because he was used as an example of what would happen if you to the other people that were still working at that classified base if he talked. And on top of that, it was, again, you don't talk about the weapons. Eventually, the government knew someone was going to come out. So as long as they don't talk about the weapons side of things, you'll be messed with, but nothing crazy. I do think Bob Lazar still fears for his life every time he talks about these things, though. Even on Joe Rogan, he said, listen, there's certain things I got to watch my words on, which we can argue maybe he's BSing about, but I don't know, man. I look at him and I see someone who's not like, if the guy wanted to make money off of this stuff, he'd have much more ways of making money and all that stuff. He doesn't, at least that I know of. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. What are your thoughts and opinions on what is going on with this phenomena of David Paulides missing 411? Oh, I think it's legit. I think it's part of the human sex trafficking, the dumb experimentations, all that kind of stuff. Documentary knowledge of the eight. Nice. All of the alphabet boys are dirty and corrupt, even those not in the know. They will still toe the line and there for their brethren. Right, Jessica, exactly. That's how they rely on the ones that are not in the know to carry out and execute the physical aspect of missions, right? Let me see. Sammy goes, "What's up, Power?" Hey, what's going on, Sammy? Let me see. I mean, Angel goes, I mean, come on, NASA top rocket builder was a top Nazi. Werner von Braun, Hermann Oberth, Operation Paperclip. Absolutely. That's totally legit. That's not even like a conspiracy. The government's admitted that. It was either, here's the thing though, and I'm not trying to defend anyone's side, but the Russians were taking a lot of the Nazi scientists as well. Some of them were not Nazis, but they were Nazi supporters. Some of them because they had no choice because they were going to get killed. Others they liked the movement. But long story short, Russia took a bunch, and then the U.S. took a bunch after the war. Let me see. UFO started appearing after World War II. Modern talking because yes, there's old stone picks, but modern UFO started. Yes, World War II was that barrier, if you will. Okay. Let's see here now. Watch movie Mirage Men. I will. Let me see. Elon wants okay. Israel is big on propaganda. Of course they are. Absolutely. Let me see here. Justin, throughout my life, I have had dreams about small glowing beings that would invite me to go with them. The invitation always seemed friendly, like a best friend asking to hang out. Usually, the more friendly ones the descriptions are like that. Yeah. You mean the stuff we haven't heard about since the president races? Yeah, we won't hear about Hillary. I can't say that. I'll get taken down. Cole, I don't know if I'll be able to go to the light. That shit's crazy. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. It's kind of like a heat in the moment things. Have you watched the full Roswell alien interview? I have. The U.S. is Germany reincarnated. I mean, look, in some cases it's debatable. I don't think I don't think Germany rules like the Nazi movement rules all of the U.S. I say that very carefully. I think Israel has its hand. Look, the U.S. is not like Israel. Or Russia, where it's a top-down leadership, and that's really how it is. The U.S., there's a lot of different agendas, factions, political factions, intelligence factions at play, infiltration, things like this, and the same goes for other countries, right? Counterintelligence, things like that. Let me see here. The Ark. Let me see. What was the podcast that you mentioned that you were on? Prairie Land Paranormal Podcast. I think it was Danielle. Eros goes, Vlad is a Fed. I heard that, but I haven't followed DJ Vlad in like years, since like 2014 or 15, I think. Let me see. Ark of Covenant was an energy producer. Google Ethipia and Ark of Covenant, you'll be surprised. Okay, I'll check that out after. I heard the Ark of Covenant was a battery as well used with the pyramids. Very possible. The Ark of Covenant was shown in the National Treasure movie starring Nicolas Cage. The Ark was the knowledge of gematria, ancient societies, and currently ruling Freemasonry and the Jesuit order. It's possible some emergence with the Akashic records. Absolutely. Let's see here. Jesus wasn't killed. He died of old age. His bloodline is still here on earth. Well, Ruben, that's absolutely possible. The thing about that as well, too, is that, apparently Jesus never had sex or anything. Oh, come on. The guy, let's just say he died. Let's just, let's just assume he was real. Let's just say he died, all that kind of stuff. Just for this hypothetical situation here. Come on. You're telling me the guy, didn't get his rocks off at some point? I'm not even going off of anything. I'm just going off of a guy, no matter how spiritually ascended. Actually, the more spiritually ascended you are, apparently, the more intimate sex becomes. So let me see. Notice how Roswell happened after World War II, right? Jesus was no more than a Greek isophacy, allegory, very possible. Jesus isn't fiction, just like the Bible isn't fictional. His image was personified or distorted. The Bible is regarded as a magical book. Damien Eccles. I'll look into it. Yeah, very possible. Again, the mixture of truth and things like that. Let me see here. I have I have dreams of a girl I knew. She's running. I can't get to her. She's on a different platform. Oh, that could be symbolic of a lot of things. Bob Lazar told the truth, but the craft wasn't aliens. Very possible. I'm wondering why the military's training in Hamilton and surrounding areas, they have their own bases. Suspicious. There's a lot of things going on. A lot of different countries allegedly are preparing for literally a physical war. It could be because tensions are very high politically. I don't know. It's hard to say. Um, Jesus was also mentioned as a shapeshifter in an ancient record, supposedly by a king. I wouldn't rule that out either. Danielle Sherlock says there's a timeline where the Nazis won World War II and they rule Earth. It's possible this is that timeline. Not to be, whatever, but let's not to fearmonger. Ruben, my stream just started failing. How coincidental. Interesting. Alexis Sam Skaden says, is the Illuminati real? Yes, it's been personified and glorified and sensationalized. I think there's different clubs, if you will, kind of like there's different, mob groups, if you want to call it. I don't think it's one big group, and if it is, it's hard to keep a secret, but very possible. Thoughts on alternative therapy suppression? I mean, why not? Why not? Gary, thank you. I don't see what could go wrong with alternative therapy suppression. I'm not saying that nothing will, but you ever taken shrooms? No, I haven't. Tell us about your experience astral traveling. I went up in my room and then I dropped back down. Seriously. I couldn't keep the focus. Let me see. Check out the CIA channel on YouTube, not the official one, but one with like 31,000 subs. Okay, I'll look into it. And if DMT entities and physical ETs interact? Yeah. Again, it's possible. It's possible. Let me see here. I was enlightened the other day when I astral projected my way into understanding why Biden bombed Syria. If only people knew. The whole bombing thing's interesting. Very interesting. I don't know if that's legit or if that's a let me see. Sorry, there was a video of the Roswell interview, or was it just, by the way, Ross, I don't mean to disrespect you if that actually happened. If you did, I'd love to talk with you. Can you briefly go over not going into the light? That shook me. That's got me shaken. First time hearing about it. Well, apparently after you die, there's a bright light you walk into, and then you go where you're supposed to go spiritually, depending on how ascended or open-minded you are, or your consciousness is, depends where you go. Apparently well, again, I haven't died yet, so I'm not specific, but the idea is that if you enter that light, it's a spiritual deception based on the energetic frequency that's been put around Earth or our solar system. So let's see here. Sirens and fighter. Hold on. They're literally doing air raid drills right by the airport where I live. They're here, man, and they're flying in our skies. Sirens and fighter jets, everything. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Okay, let's see here. 213 Eddie. The only reason why I'm not going to comment on that is because I don't know anything about that. And if I did, I would add to what you're saying, or give my perspective. Let me see. It's a video of a guy narrating. Okay, cool. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I think this is the longest we've gone. 3 hours. I got to get up early for for all of tomorrow's episodes. Again, honestly, guys, I'll take a few more questions. I just want to say one last time for those that are asking, because I get this all the time. They say, Dave, is the Patreon worth it? Look, honestly, guys, sign up for the if you want to check out the members only episodes. Try it. You can always cancel whenever you like, and then you can decide for yourselves. I'm not going to be a salesman. The people that are on there, they love it, and I appreciate that greatly. We do a lot of things, early release episodes, all that stuff. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on mermaids and other cryptids? Well, honestly, Eros, I think there is a legitimacy to them. I don't know how much has been, shuttered in disinformation, but I think there's legitimacy to them. The Christian religion is a man-made construct. It was made to control the population through fear. It was created to help the kings control the population. This goes on even till this day. Right. The concept is that, look, Christianity instills, generally speaking, what we perceive to be good moral values. But how much of that is disinformation? How much of that is legit for control? Again, institutions like that have always said things are demonic when it's something they can't control. And push onto their own followers, right? And I'm not trying to disrespect any religion. I think the belief system at an individual level is fantastic. Um, if you like that, let me see. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate that. Allegations of CIA assistance to Osama bin Laden from Dojo Reporter. Look, you don't think the CIA knew at the most secretive levels where bin Laden was? You know. Um, Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate that. How's life in Canada? It's cold. It's cold. When is your next live stream? I do it every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Um, Let me see. It's the world disintegrating and your soul going to the creator. Possible, yeah. Um, let's see here. Knowledge of the eight and UFO reconsidered. Amazon Prime. Sorry, guys, I'm not laughing at your comments. I have some guinea pigs in the back here, and they're just doing something funny. Mirage Man knowledge. Let me see here. Even South Park made fun of bin Laden and the whole CIA thing. Yeah. Let me see here. Knowledge of the aid and UFO reconsidered. Amazon Prime on your smart TV. Watch, open your eyes. Don't be fooled. They're holographic technology that's so real. They're objects. Yeah. Well, how holographic technology could be a lot of things. A lot of things that we think is not holographic, but it really is. Yeah, so that's it, guys. My throat's killing me. Thank you so much for staying on and all that. I appreciate that a lot. And we're gonna catch you guys tomorrow. Again, if you want to talk to me, genzpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Let me answer this one. Thoughts on Zionist occupation government conspiracy theory? Yeah, like if you're talking about Israel, yeah, certain elements, yeah. And yes, I'll check it out, you real, 100%. Oh, thanks, Ross. I appreciate that. Also, Half-Life playthrough, Phil Schneider. Nice, nice. All right, guys. Thank you.